Hello there, welcome, good evening to the NLC. And it's time that we say goodbye to our first team in Division 2 playoffs. I am Brackish Brett, I am joined by Jace for the knockout match, Karolinerna taking on Lionscreed.
Yeah, this is going to be a big one, as you said. One team will be going home today. They're split. Their season will be over. And they're going to have to go again next year. Brackish, we have got, I think, such a good, interesting matchup. We did a little bit of research into both of these teams, compiled some notes, and I would just love to get into it. But for now, a quick look at our bracket. As we can see, Venom Crest are going to be taking on MRG in a best of 5. I believe, in a couple of days. Yeah, winners finals already put their spot there. But it's not all doom and gloom. As I said, there's still a chance that either K5 or Lionscreed could make a run, but it's going to have to be some run, that's for sure.
Yeah, not only have they got to go the entire way through the loser's bracket, but next they have to face the winner of Lundqvist Lightside versus Blue Whites. Now, Lightside got second in the regular split, but just yesterday got kind of dismantled by Munster Rugby Gaming. They got 3-0'd and knocked down into the lower bracket. They are very much still expected to be the favorites over Blue Whites, but that might be a sigh of relief for the likes of Karolinerna and Lionscreed, who may have to go up against them once they triumph here.
Yeah, and I think that is always the scary part about being in this situation and just the single elimination sort of bracket. It's like, okay, you make it out, and then you've got someone that you have an even worse record against potentially going in. Every game gets harder and harder, and that really is why they call it Miracle Run. As of yet, we're still waiting for both teams to essentially sort themselves out, get into lobby and get the ready checks going. But now that we've got a bit of time, let's talk about it. There is one particular pairing that I am super interested and super excited to see today, and it's the Junglers. It's the jungle matchup.
Exactly. I mean, how could it not be, really? We've got Bash for Karolinerna. We've got Panda for Lionscreed. Neither of them at all afraid to bring up some spice. We've seen Kindred. We've seen Belveth out of Bash. We've seen Graves. We've seen Karthus out of Panda. Both of these junglers looking to be big parts of their team's victories today.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm a big fan of Panda personally as a Viego Karthus essentially 2-trick when I play. It's always good to see. Obviously, Viego isn't the absolute demonic monster of Ruination that we saw in, I believe, Season 10 when he was released. But that Triforce build, so good, particularly when you can stack items. And Jungle Roll, we've seen LCK, LEC, LCS, it's been low economy, low resource. It falls off. You play tank junglers. So it's refreshing to see both of these junglers, to be fair, Brackish, play high resource, carry potential. It's not something that I'm seeing basically anywhere else, only from a few select junglers at the higher levels. And it's good. It reminds me that jungle is still a very much impactful role after 25 minutes.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, even if you're not playing the hyper carries, you can still lock in Maokai and have your, put your influence over the map. You sound a little bit less excited about that than me.
Absolutely.
And I mean, fair. We've seen a lot of him. Obviously, the Sejuani coming back in as well. Rel being flexible into the jungle is something that I find very, very cool. And also, we've also seen in the East, Nautilus being flexed out of the support role into jungle as well.
Yeah, Nautilus, I think, is one of my favorite champs. Caps played it mid, I believe, in the
he made the MSI meta of that.
Yeah, he's pulled up.
All right, everyone's throwing Nautilus into the mid lane.
Yeah, it is. I think it's always great how some of the best minds and the greatest players in the game can just almost pick something up, think, actually, this might be okay, and then everyone else just flocks to it like moths to a flame and like birds to a singular slice of bread on the beaches. But like, it started with Gragas as well. Faker played Gragas mid, I believe, in a T1 game. Everyone picked it up from there. And then Caps played Nautilus mid and Solo Q got rank 1, and everyone flocked to it. But speaking of the supportive mids, I think Emil is absolutely no stranger to it. We talked about the Viego from Panda. One of the best slams and the common slams we're seeing from Lionscreed in draft is it feels like they almost just have like an F-it button, Brackish, where they're just like, okay, this seems like a somewhat kind of at least playable spot. because there isn't, champs that can completely shut us down. We're just going to play Lissandra Viego and go from there. This seems like the absolute core identity for Lionscreed, and they've been controlling the game through mid jungle, not as much using it to go to sides, but just 2v2ing, 3v2ing, showing up in very weighted fights in their favor, because the Emil and Panda have been getting so fed on this Lissandra Viego combo. Like, it's so disgusting. They played so well.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And that lockdown combo is so good because it effectively, especially in the early games, like most people can't deal with the amount of CC. Regular Frost into Frozen Tomb, into Spectral Maw, into Dead. Especially if the Viego has hit that level 6 mark. You're not getting out of that one.
No, absolutely not. And even if you flash away after the Frozen Tomb comes down, it's just going to be a heartbreaker on top of your face into the full passive resets that you get from applying the Q and W on the Viego Spectral Maw and Blade of the Ruined King, as you previously mentioned. But for Lionscreed, we know that mid jungle are consistent and they have that combo. Do they have anything else is a question I have. And honestly, for Zewix, I've only seen a couple of games of him, and he's looked very good on the set, even when he's been down and getting a little bit pummeled in lane, as set can often do at this level. Has some very, very counter-pickable matchups, does this champ. But Zewix and Spiky, we've got here on our notes, Heimer, ! Question mark, Ziggs. Maybe we do see Spiky pull up on the Heimer today. I'm not sure.
That's more of a, if everyone knows me, I'm a bit of a Ziggs fiend. If you can play Heimerdinger, how far of a walk is it to being able to play other AP bot laners? Not just Ziggs, but you could potentially even pull out. Bot lane Karthus has been very, very good in solo queue, at least. We've seen bot lane Syndra in the past. There's plenty of ways you can go with it.
Yeah, I think just quickly on that Karthus pick, I believe it is genuinely one of the strongest APCs, quote unquote, on this patch, and has been for a while. It got nerfed, I believe, on 13.14, but don't quote me on that one. At least the last 2 or 3 patches, because it was so strong. You can play it with Nautilus, you can play it with poke supports. Karthus Senna has been pulled out in solo queue, not as much in organized play, but particularly Karthus, Nautilus, like the all-in potential when people are playing ADCs like Jinx, Aphelios, even Zeri potentially, Exhaust and Wall of Pain do such a good job at shutting these hyper carries down. And of course, it allows you to play triple AD topside because of the threat of the Requiem that you can get. Once your Karthus hits level 6, you can play all in with it. You can just sit under your tower, scale, and then press R and deal 400 damage to someone. Like in the other region, like you could be playing an LEC game, you can press R, you'll hit someone in the LPL. Like, I don't know.
Oh yeah. So infinite range.
Yeah.
No matter what, unless you're a Fizz, because if I recall correctly, you can troll pole the
yeah, you can dodge
Karthus
it.
ultimate.
Yeah,
just because why not? Fun, balanced and interactive champion.
Yeah.
Thank God that Fizz isn't something we see more often at a competitive level.
Yeah, I think Fizz is. I rarely see Fizz like pop up. It seems just more like a solo queue demon, but like I feel like I rarely ever see it, and then I'll just be reminded that it's a champion almost. It's like, oh yeah, Fizz is like very much in this game. They are a League of Legends champion, and they're like 10-0, and I only have one form of CC, and they're just gonna dodge it with. I actually don't know the name of the spell, but you're right. The troll pole, as you call it. I think it's called like Playful Trickster. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
The Lodal as a way of learning spell abilities for sure. But back to the game, I think Lionscreed, they've got potential. As I said, I'm just wondering. I think I want to see how their draft goes, game 1, and then the adaptations they make for the rest of the series. Because on the side of Karolinerna, they've been pretty consistent, I think, so far with what they've been playing, apart from obviously the spicy jungle picks.
Definitely. Apologies for the delays, folks. Just a slight problem with one of the players getting into the lobby. And so we are having to move it across onto a different Tournament Realm server. Hopefully we'll have it resolved for you very shortly. In fact, it does look like it is nearly resolved. So we will get ourselves into game 1 very shortly.
Dope.
Talking about the bot lane, obviously we talked about Spiky, formerly an NLC Div 1 player, Singularity. How about on the other side? How about Floops? What do you think about that one?
I've been impressed by Floops and what they've played. I believe they had a monster game on Draven a couple of weeks ago. That might have actually been the last time I tested him, to be fair. But keeping tabs on them, Floops is absolutely someone that they can play towards. And in the same way that Panda and Emil are controlling the map as that mid jungle, it feels like Thomas Go, who is now back for Karolinerna and Bash, it feels like their mid jungle are very bot centric. They seem quite bot centric as a team. And we probably could point this out in the draft, but I'll just point it out now. Guys, Emperor has 13 games on Ornn this season. And
Sure does.
if that is not a team that is going to play towards bot, then I don't know what is. Ornn is, to be fair, like you can't play for an Ornn, but you can get ahead on Ornn and be very relevant in terms of your damage with the brittle procs. But also, like, you can just get like camped like completely in lane, beat 0 and 9. And once you hit like level 16, you've got R and you've given everyone in your team a free like 1,000 worth of gold. Ornn is just one of the best front to back team fight champions in the game. And right now, with the way the NLC meta is going, the way that the meta is going in Europe in general, Brackish, it's just all about these team fights. I think the real threat of side lanes is just like slowly dwindling over time. And I would guess just because neutral objectives are like so important.
It looks like we are seconds away from getting onto the game one. I did want to talk about Emperor very briefly before we do get ourselves in. He did play the Ornn twice against Venomcrest. He felt a little bit exposed, if I'm going to say anything about it. He had a bad time of it. First game, they attempted to do the BDS Scion cheese, and it went horrendously wrong for them. Game 2 and 3, they got Ornn, but game 2, he was not that much of a factor.
And I think so. And you're really struggling there, especially when your frontliner is like so behind that they can just get one shot. Like all you're there to do on Ornn is take as much damage as possible, hit that R, the call of the Forge God, and try and find some follow-up burst onto your more fed members. We're going to be getting into the ban phase right now, though. We get target picks immediately come out. That Nico is 100% targeted towards Cobbin. The Xayah as well, and taking away Jace, a very good flex pick. And I think Jace probably one of the more difficult matchups for Set as well. So potentially coming down on the flip side, big Rumble ban actually. Rumble's one of the most broken champs. Yeah, Rumble's one of the most broken champs.
Lessons learned from the Venomcrest series. 2 games the Venomcrest played the Rumble. 2 games that Emperor was completely unable to deal with it. And it will be the Tristana locked in first for Lionscreed.
Yeah, it does have flex potential, to be fair. Like you can actually flex it across all solo lanes. I say solo lanes like mid, bot, and top, all the carry laners. But I think it's probably just going to go to Spiky. I would expect to probably still see Lissandra Viego. But
Emil has played a couple of games of it.
Yeah, I think it depends on what K5 are going to pick here on red side.
That's a very early Syndra.
Yes. It feels weird because I've always feel like Syndra is such a scaling champ, and it feels like he can really come out when thematically Lionscreed are playing something that wants to go into them and has a lot of squishy people that Lissandra can just effectively press R on. But I mean, if it's one of Cobbin's comfort picks, that looks like they're probably going to be pairing it up with the Maokai jungle. Of course, it can go support, but not as commonly. It feels like they're just kind of saying, okay, if you want to slam Lissandra Viego, like good luck playing against Scatter of the Week and all of the Maokai CC.
So we see the potential of the 2-3 Lissandra Viego that could put the Tristana towards bot side. It looks like it won't be the case this time around. Going to go for one of the other heavily contested jungles right now, Sejuani, rising back up, especially on 13-15.
Yeah, Sejuani is, I think it's almost an EU classic at this point. I don't want to quite say popularized by Jankos because this champ has been around forever. But Tristana, Braum, Sejuani, okay, they're drafting a glacial comp from TFT Season 1. They are playing full
Seems like it.
Freljord, obviously Poppy not being from the icy north, but he's going to pair very well with these passives. I just think Sedge Braum, so much CC, so much like single target lockdown. I'm just wondering for K5, like what the Sejuani Braum, like what does it instantly take away? I'm going to have a quick look at the notes to see if there's anything targeted. Like Draven, Yasuo, Bel'Veth, I don't think any of these champs can be picked now into the Sejuani Braum.
There is the Ziggs ban, so they expect the potential of an AP
They've been listening to your broadcast.
Yeah. And the responsorial Draven ban, respect away from Flukes, especially with the Thresh locked in. The amount of safety, of course, that Thresh can give to something that is so all in as a Draven is going to be very, very nice. Does also pair up really nicely with that 0 mobility on a Syndra.
Yes, the lack of mobility going to be so huge. It feels like K5 are very leaning towards like a not quite a front to back comp. I almost want to call it a back to front comp because they're just going to keep kiting away. It feels like the Maokai and the Thresh are such good disengage, such good
disengage
peel.
options.
Yeah, that Floops and Cobbin are just going to be able to play like long range poke champs with the Syndra, and then I'm potentially thinking what ADCs to come here, potentially Varus, maybe Ash.
Caitlyn got buffed on this patch.
Yeah, Kate, I think, is actually one of the best picks as well, too. But the final two bans, yeah, Ash and Ziggs being taken away for the side of K5. So worrying about that double ADC comp with the Tristana flex.
Well, we'll see what R4 does give us. They'll give us a little bit better of an idea of the full big picture of what Karolinerna is looking to play towards. Right now, as you say, great disengage options, a great carry, and that's a second great later game scaling carry that this team can play around in that kiting back, letting your carries deal damage comp style.
Yeah, absolutely. Jinx is still so strong with those passive resets, of course, getting the movement speed in. I think nice bans from Lionscreed, though, as well, to take away that Draven. We know it's a very comfortable pick for Floops. Exactly. Speaking of range, is this just has it been slammed already?
Appreciators?
Yeah, there we go.
Champ.
The Cogmore.
Cogmore, aka Cogchamp, aka Coggers, aka Pogmore.
Yeah. Cog Braum into Thresh Jinx.
This is a G2 comp. This is literally just Hans and Mickey.
Yeah, it is a G2 comp. Wait, you're right. Lionscreed. Well, I mean, let's see if Spikechen channel is in a Han Sommer. Zewix is going to be going for that comfortable set blind in the top lane. Don't mind it. You have to blind pick top here. And why not just slam the Ionian Juggernauts?
Potentially very cool as well, because if the K5 comp is wanting to play kite back, well, what happens if Xerxes appears behind and pulls a Jinx or a Syndra out? Or alternatively, sends a
Malphite or a Maokai.
Or a Maokai into the carries, exactly.
Yeah, there's potential there. This set jump is, I mean, it's rarely seen these days. I believe there was a quote not too long ago from the actual designer of the champ. I forget who designed set, the writer that did it, but they were like, this is very much a solo queue champ. I don't really want it. And it wasn't designed to be played in professional, organized, competitive sort of play, very much a solo queue pick. But like Zewix is so comfortable on it. And the threat of that Haymaker with the true damage, it was literally just 2 fights. The last time I tested Lionscreed, this set did 3.2k true damage by landing a 1.6 onto both carries. And hey, this is a very much 2 carry comp for K5. If this set gets on top of them and manages to land a massive Haymaker, like they will just get one tapped, and there's nothing they can do about it apart from a Zhonya's Hourglass that Cobbin will probably end up having to buy.
I was going to say that there's the potential of the Malphite going a little bit more towards AP, since you do have very tanky composition, but this is also Emperor we're talking about, who, 13 games on Ornn very much does like playing as tanks, and then an occasional sprinkling of Gnar here and there.
Yeah, I do think, to be fair, that Malphite, unironically, when you can go the Frostfire build, which seems very, very likely for this for Emperor against this Lionscreed team comp, I think you just do enough damage anyway. Like, Malphite damage is unironically still so good when you can just build a Sheen and tank items, of course. I believe some of his damage actually scaling off that armor. I'm going to be going into game here now, any second, as both teams are going to load in. It's game one. We've got to see the level ones, going to have to see the jungle pathing, and most importantly, the adaptions. Remember, it is a 1st to 3 bracket. We've got a long series ahead of us. This is absolutely a marathon and not a sprint.
That we do, Jace. Who will come out on top? Who will claim their way, continuing clawing forwards throughout this playoffs? We are about to find out as we are onto the Rift for our first game of the day. Karolinerna taking up the red side of the map, Lionscreed on the blue. Are you expecting any spice from this early jungles?
I wouldn't think so. It was probably just like a 3 camp into look for a gank or potential reverse clear meta. Both Panda and Bash really do not want to be full clearing. It's just not really what you want to do on these tank camps. You want to get out early and leverage your base stats to make impact, use that CC to get your carries ahead. Both of these teams are just so hard playing for Spiky and Emil. Sort of playing for their mid and bot. Do have to point out, I was expecting to see Thomas go back in. They are keeping with Cobbin. I wonder if that's a stylistic thing. I wonder if Thomas is still just unavailable, which would be, of course, really unfortunate. But I'm sure Cobbin is still able to put up the performances. Clearly trust him when they are picking something that I think is just so solo reliant, I guess, on the Syndra. I don't quite know, like, almost how to phrase it, but like you put a lot of onus and priority on your Syndra to be able to mechanically play these fights when you lock in this pick. This is a big carry champ for Cobbin here.
No doubt, absolutely. And it's going to be, as you say, very big on the execution of himself and Floops in this game. The damage is coming pretty much entirely from them unless Bash or Emperor go huge. Emil feeling so confident to just jump on Cobbin right off the bat.
Yeah, we've got to look and see that the Malphite did land the cheese wheel, so therefore top is one. GG, top diff. Aggressive trade out from Emil. You have to use that advantage, that ranged versus the mains level 1. You're in ADC. You'll be able to auto-attack them off the wave, get so much priority, get so much push. Not taking the E level 1, of course, so having control of being able to naturally push the wave. And that is what Emil is going to be getting. Push, priority. Are they going to roam to side lanes? Probably not this early, but just getting pushed to keep Cobbin under tower means that they'll be able to get deep wards, vision, priority for drag for nat spawns, and all the potential. It means Panda does not have to hover as much unless they predict a counter gank. But as I say that though, like getting this aggressive push in early means that there is potential for Cobbin to call their jungler, and Bash can just do his top side and maybe look into a mid gank.
Certainly can. Just clearing out the rest of his red side jungle right now. Get himself that red buff. Is a tiny bit ahead of Panda on his clear. And of course, Panda also going for this Krugless clear. Looks like he may try and make his presence felt towards the top side before this 3 minute.
Here we go. Was Emperor dead?
Xerx has already taken a lot of hurt here. The damage will come through from the permafrost. It looks like Emperor was going to try and fight it out. There's a huge minion wave here. Panda going to look to keep on walking this one forwards. There's no flash on the Malphite. The flail should be enough to eventually take this one down. The Emperor is not making it easy for them. Finally, one more hit should do it. Well, just still surviving. Why are you living so long? Panda eventually gets it. Noda-chan going to show up towards the mid lane. Cobbin did have to take an early recall.
Yeah, so this is where the advantage for the cross map can come in. Actually, well played from Emperor. He stole so much time. The wave crashes so he can TP or ward back to lane. Decides to commit that summoner spell. Unfortunately, Bash is not quite able to go for the cross map. Normally, what can happen is when you have Panda be that long in top lane, enemy jungler can just cut the map, go into your other side. But interesting pathing. K5 know that Panda did not do their blue buff because they didn't show up with it. But 12 CS level 3, there was a multiple things to do. As I say that, there's a gank in mid lane.
That there is. Emil forced to flash away. Will be able to get there before the flare does. And Zuko will show up mid lane as well. Play bodyguard for Emil. Seems to have diffused that play nicely.
Yeah, this was a wave now pushing out for Zuix here on top. Going to try and look for a base and use that gold advantage that they get from the assist. Panda is just back. Okay, he's jungle diff. Oh my.
Ed making himself known out onto the map. Obviously claimed that first blood already. And if this isn't the best matchup for Xerx early, of course, almost exclusively physical damage. It's not that hard to dodge the
Bash
haymaker. Flash does come out from Bash here, and Panda is coming on down. Emil gets the hit on with the explosive charge. We'll be able to take that one down. And that's 2 kills for Lionscreed.
Yeah, so it can look, I guess, a little bit into almost for Bash appearing in that position, but I get what he's going for. Like, you know, Panda has shown top twice in basically 5 minutes. So it's like, okay, this guy needs to lose. Yeah, he needs to lose his bot side for that, right? Like, it just is the natural trade that has to come down. Unfortunately, no prio, the rotation first. Emil drops his wave to help rotate. Zuko immediately roams up as well, leaving Spiky on the tower. They cannot punish that. K5 recognizing the opportunities to punish, but not quite being able to match the pieces of the puzzle together, and just handing another kill over to Lionscreed in the early game. Kill on Panda for first blood, not the most impactful. Like, this Sejuani is just what, gonna buy a ruby crystal with it? Okay, like, it's completely fine. But getting the kill onto Emil is big.
Hi, Xerx.
Wait.
What are you doing here, buddy?
What are they cooking?
He's behind Bash. Bash has no idea what's going on here. He comes forward. He's already used the
Wait, he's
twisted
dead.
advance. Emil comes forward. There will be the face breaker, and Emil
Whoa.
claims another. What a roam from Zoix.
That's a great roam from Zerg. Dropping the wave, understanding that it's a Malphite matchup and you're not going to lose plates, particularly before 6 minutes. Before 5.5 minutes, I think, is when the plates drop. But nonetheless, you can give like a plate or two over. Even still, like you can lose a creep or two to get a kill. Bash is so far behind. And obviously they are on the Maokai, so their value will still be completely fine. They're still going to have the CC options, but taking away that slight AP option, potentially an acceleration into the Demonic Embrace, which Bash might be going to anyway. An 0-2 Maokai in the early game. Not looking good, particularly now that, once again, Emil gets another kill. Zewix willingly hands it over to that Tristana, and we talked about it. It's about the mid and bot. This double ADC comp, all the gold can be funneled onto them. Noon Quiver at 6.5 minutes for Emil. K5, I just wonder what Bash can do now to try and exert themselves back onto the map and get some impact going, because they've been put quite far behind.
I am foreseeing a very early Kraken Slayer coming out for Emil, and when that lands, I don't think anybody is safe. He's already got 2 kills, already shoving in towards Cobbin. Panda is there giving him cover as well, so Bash cannot do anything. 7 minutes on the board. The gold lead does not reflect the advantage that Lionscreed currently hold.
No, it doesn't. It's importantly, like the kills are effectively scaling. The more gold you get for this Lionscreed comp, the better. Absolutely. Cog and Tristana, if you get them 3 items, 25 minutes, 4 items, 28, 29 minutes, they're going to be like completely monstrous. We already know how good Ziggs is. Ziggs Cogmore is with these items, the range as well, being able to do, I believe it's max health magic damage with the caustic spittle.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, look at the amount of tanks on the side of K5, right? Like any extra unnatural gold that comes onto Spiky thanks to kills handed over to him, it's just going to mean these tanks get weaker and weaker.
So let's take a walk down towards the late game, obviously, because we saw Karolinerna. They've drafted this comp. They've got Syndra and they've got Jinx. They're looking to be big in the late game. You're against a Tristana Cogmore. They scale just as well as you do.
And they have the early game.
Yeah, Emil is going to outrange Floops, or at least match, once you get towards the later levels, as the draw and bead gives more and more and more range.
Yeah, the downside with these scaling comps effectively, because both teams have pretty much picked 3 tanks and then 2 hyper carries as their mid-bot, is that when one team can kind of just get a couple of kills early, it snowballs into neutral objectives, into towers. And whilst you are sitting there like, guys, we do scale, you're almost like pushed so far down that the scaling doesn't quite arrive in time. I said before the game the importance of the lack of side laning, the importance of team fighting. The reason you're scaling is so that you can take over in these team fights, you can outvalue them in these team fights, you can secure these neutral objectives. But when you're down in gold, you're down on towers, you have no prio, your jungle is completely dark. Of course, this is like worst case scenario, but I can see it slowly ticking up. It might just be a death by 1,000 cuts here for K5.
Right now, though, it's actually not feeling like that at all. We're at 9 minutes. We've only seen one objective go down. The Rift Herald was solo picked up by Panda here. No to challenge Loops. Going to put a decent chunk onto Zuko, but they will not be able to deny Spiky from picking up the vast majority of this wave.
Yeah, Bash is actually going to cross-map Drake as well, so finally they get something back for Panda, constantly playing topside. Good secure for K5. As I said, 2 really rough kills, actually. That invade on the Raptors was like completely psycho. Expect to see that out of the Korean server, but Emperor has roamed down.
And he got jumped away from.
Committed his R as well.
Completely nopes the unstoppable force.
Yeah, his R was down there as well, so there's no potential to use that onto maybe potentially Zewix and invade on Panda or whatnot. But Panda is still top lane. They are here yet again.
Wow, okay. Forces the flash out of Emperor as well. Panda, really, apparently not a fan of geology.
No, just Rock Hater 92 here for the Sejuani. But Panda's had some great impact. As I mentioned, has been comfortable on the Viego, playing that scaling, and has been good at taking advantage of these like heavy ganking junglers that we're seeing Panda do now. Like, it's been instances where it's been the enemy jungler that's been visiting top or bot frequently, and he's just gone and taken the entirety of their other quadrant for it and gotten himself a big gold lead and been able to snowball that into an early Triforce, into an early level 6 because of XP and whatnot. But Emperor looking to trade and run down Zerix here, maybe. I mean, solo kill potential without R, it's really low.
Yeah, pretty low. Has got the Sheen, of course, is scaling towards picking up that Iceborne Gauntlet for himself. And what he does should be pretty scary is, of course, I was wondering, just doing a quick check-in, he is still gone for the Q-Max first. I have seen that some Malphites, usually when they go for Grasp, actually look to level the W first.
Yeah.
Not the case this time.
Nope. Definitely not. The Arcane Comet going to be good into the matchup just to poke down the set a little bit. Interesting enough to point out, actually, with 3 kills on the board for Lionscreed, but CS lead overwhelmingly in the favor for K5. Why? Where it counts. Look at the CS difference between Cobbin and Flukes compared to Emil and Spiky. It's like 20 plus.
Let's investigate
for
that
both of
further,
them.
because gotta remember, Flukes also went for Cult. So on top of the CS advantage, never mind, Cobbin getting jumped on mid lane. Zerix apparently kind of feeling himself right now as well. Bash coming up for the assist. Ooh. Emperor will force the flash out to get away from the unstoppable force. In fact, they may feel like they can kill this one. Gotta watch out for the Haymaker of Zerix. There it will come out. He does not drop, so very low, but not quite.
Yeah, just the amount of damage that Zerix was able to exert onto Emperor there means that Malphite cannot follow up onto Bash's damage. It would have just been like a cheese wheel or so, an Emperor Q.
Oh, no!
Pandas and bots.
No, trying to get Flukes out. The Lantern plus the Flash will get him to safety. The stuns landing on the Thresh now. Hook in reply does not land, but that is exactly why Thresh is so perfect for this team comp. Flukes would have been dead to rights without that Lantern.
Exhaust came down and absolutely the Dark Passage. Actually, yeah, I forget the name of the Thresh W.
It is Dark Passage, yeah.
Okay, good, I thought so. But, I mean, absolutely preventing the gank there, the passage to safety. You're right, this is why Jinx Thresh, Aphelios Thresh, is so strong. Flukes was caught there, they were dead to rights, but yet saved by the Doom and the Lantern that is the Thresh support. That's a nice heads-up play from Nodu-chan to keep Flukes alive. And that was the first gank from Panda onto the bot lane, and it might have just been the 1-for-1 success rate, and it would have put Flukes so far behind. Herald goes down just to secure some gold onto Emil as well. Might potentially lose this plate thanks to the cannon. I believe it does go down, so Emil misses 175 gold there, but I was wondering, Brackish, when the ganks were going to go down onto bot lane. Panda makes the first one there.
Yeah, perhaps a little bit late on it, though. Let's look at the gold individually. 1.4k is the difference between Flukes and Spiky. This Jinx is extremely accelerated. Had a cull, completed that, has a 20 CS advantage over this Kog'Maw as well. Doing fantastically in this early game. And it is contributing to that very slight advantage that Karolinerna hold right now.
And it also shows like how little it can mean to put a Maokai behind in the early game, because they get the 2 invade kills, they get the kill onto Emperor, but these are tanks. He's done Demonic Embrace, but it's still completely fine. Like, what's happened is because they've been paying so much attention between mid jungle and top, Flukes has just been like stacking waves for free in bot. Yes, Zuko has had the roams up, and they've managed to get himself an assist as well, as you can see, but it's been a farm fest in bot lane, and like it's only been benefiting Flukes. Now, when these Drake fights are going to come up, as the Infernal is spawning, I believe, in just under 20 seconds, Flukes is on Kraken Slayer plus Pickaxe plus Lightning Greaves. Like, really strong Jinx here for this fight.
Yeah, it's going to be a little while yet before Spiky is able to pick up the Blade of the Ruin King for himself. I think Lionscreed may have to, purely because of Flukes' strength, concede this Drake, though the fact that Panda and Emil are looking around means it seemed like they might not want to do that.
Yeah, remember, it is after 10 minutes now because of the Unleashed Teleport TP change coming in, I believe, at the start of this season. They dialed that timer back down 4 minutes, so there's potential for Zerix and Emperor to TP down. Do they do it to second Drake? Probably not, but Lionscreed...
Nope, they find Cobbin. He's so low. One more auto from Emil will do the trick. The Unleashed Power is able to trade back, however, and that's a shutdown across to Cobbin. Zerix dropping extremely low. There's no mana on Emperor, though. There's a trade towards the bot side as well. Panda is able to secure the first turret. Flutes dropping low, but they will be able to pull back. One tower goes down, kills traded in the mid lane, but the Drake still stands.
Yeah, the Drake does stand. I think it was a good play for Lionscreed, stopping the potential just Drake force. We saw Bash appear bot lane a couple of about 30 seconds or so to try and just force prio, I guess, for K5 as they rotate up. TP is available for both mid laners, but once again, it is just that bot push. Both mid laners being dead means that you have to then play around your bot lane for prio on the Drake. And K5 are just going to secure it. As I said, like, disastrous almost first 5 minutes or so getting the invades. Panda can't even go for the steal. 2 Drakes for K5, and that is just their win con.
Panda's coming in though. Dark Passage will get Flukes out somewhat.
Emil
is playing the barrier. Emperor is coming in. Emil does get the flank in. We'll be able to take down Flukes. Now chasing forwards. Zuko will drop, but Xerix has arrived as well. Cobban joins the fray also. Xerix separates Bash from the rest of his team. I believe that the tree will be felled. Spikey will pick up that one. Karolinerna do claim their second Drake of the game, but Lionscreed do respond in kind.
Yeah, Emil has got a shutdown here again. After only getting one a couple of minutes ago, Cobban managed to claim it. Cobban, speaking of, finds Xerix, but I think Emil can just safely jump for the hills and can walk away to like this wave and then get out. But 5 kills on this just on a great flank from Emil. Not quite sure if we have access to that replay, but Emil managed to enter from the north side of River. When K5 were kiting away from the south side upwards, they walked directly into Emil. We talked about the tanks and the ability to peel this K5 comp. They were walking back, but they're walking back into the flanking Emil. They're basically walking into him. He was just more than happy to clean up. Great target focus. Fluke just got insta-popped by that E fully charged with the Q attack speed steroid that can be perma up. I guess Navori is probably the go-to play for Emil here, and once he completes that, so much damage for this Tristana. Of course, remember, Tristana, the more levels she gets, the more attack range, and eventually, I believe, at level 14 or 13, she will outrange Flukes and Cobban.
Once she gets high enough, yeah, with that draw bead, we'll be able to outrange everybody on the map.
Yeah.
And looking forward, well, Lionscreed are certainly looking forward to that happening. Karolinerna not so much, but I do want to harken back to what you just said. Obviously, the flank from Emil completely destabilized how Karolinerna wanted to execute on that fight. And it's going to be the same going through the later stages of the game as well. You were talking about it, that Karolinerna wants to kite back. What if they kite back into more members of Lionscreed?
Yeah, and speaking of more members of Lionscreed, Panda is certainly a member, and he might not be for much longer. Panda might just die here. Okay.
Has to flash.
No flash.
Yeah, we'll be able to get out of that one. Emil showing himself towards topside. Emperor is a very tanky boy. Is going to look to go forwards. He is very sizable. There is a buster shot, however. Flash needed to be committed from Emil as well. So, despite this being Emperor on a tank, as we know he likes, never mind Bash. Cobban coming forwards. The Nature's Grasp does catch on to Spike. They can't really do anything about it. The tower will go down. Zuko trying to get out. Bash going very, very low. Xerix looking to make the play happen as well. Finds the showstopper onto Flukes. He is able to get away, though. Bash will not be quite so fortunate. The chase keeps on going forwards. A kill will be handed across. Flukes goes down, given across to Spikey, and the chase will end. Zuko too low. Spikey not able to chase any further, but more kills secured for Lionscreed. Bash goes down. Flukes as well.
Yeah, and Bratish, they did this fight without Emil. Emil was in the top lane. Had to be reminded that he was, of course, playing a marksman, and there was a Malphite on the side of Karolinerna. That K5 Emperor committing the R has to be flash and the buster shot committed from Emil just to keep himself alive, to not give away that shutdown over to the Malphite. If that Golden Flux would have come in, that would not have been good. The damage from Emil and Spikey would have got even lower. But yeah, they did it without Emil, their biggest source of damage, their biggest DPS threat, the most gold on their team. Now Spikey was able to clean up, so he gets a little bit stronger. But that could have been disastrous for K5. Like, they could have potentially just lost bot tier 1, mid tier 2, potentially Baron a couple of seconds later. Afterwards, really scary fight for K5. But I think the reason they felt so confident in taking it, even though they did not come out on top, was the lack of Emil. But even still, it's scary. Like, when you're fighting without the strongest member of your team for Lionscreed and you still end up winning it. not the best.
Oh, Cobbin feeling confident, but misplaced confidence, I think, as Panda is there to protect his mid laner. The stun is coming in slowly. One hit from Emil will do the trick, able to get out and away from that as well. So many members committed topside. They get the man they want.
Yeah, and Emil takes the unleashed power. Emil took the unleashed power, I believe, from Cobbin, and he didn't go down. It's another ultimate gone wide for K5 here. They now don't have any. They lose top tier 1, not the most important in this stage of the game. They're going to use it to get mid push. But Zvaiki on his own here being forced all the way out. And Emil, like, this is just more gold for this Tristana.
If they can get a third charge off, that is entirely possible. Emperor on the entire opposite side of the map. They are going to opt against committing for the inhibitor turret. We're just going to let Shirley do her thing, then peace out. Does mean, however, that Karolinerna have the inside line onto their third Drake of the game. Is a Cloud Soul, so not the worst thing for Lionscreed to let go, and they are opting to give that extra 5 minutes for them to reach that maximum power point. Instead, going to look for the Baron themselves.
Yeah, so if they wouldn't have been able to trade the Nash yet, I think it's disastrous. If you just give up Soul Point effectively for free. Lionscreed, do you go for the turn? Spiky is very low on mana. That's not good. That means the Caustic Spittle not going to be available. Lionscreed, do you just get the Nash and run for the hills? Can K5 catch him?
He's going forwards. Hook does not land. Nature's Grass comes forward. It is only Zuko who gets hit. Karolinerna want to chase, but they cannot do it. And Lionscreed commit the hoodwink and get on out with the Baron.
Yeah, the slaying of the big purple worm is massive for Lionscreed. That's an influx. That's effectively the equivalent of a pentakill. 300 gold going over to everyone else. K5 are going to look to trade it to get a tower, but they got so much topside. Did Lionscreed, they take the big neutral objective as well.
Oh no, Karolinerna may have overcommitted to pushing it down the mid lane. They are able to disengage. They do have to force the TP, as you say, from Emperor though. At the Baron, when you've got an Emil who is this strong, the Tristana, who is known for her siege power, towers are going to melt.
Yeah, that's exactly the word. The siege is now on for Lionscreed. Yes, they got the Baron, they got 2 towers top. K5 managed to get something concrete, something permanent. It's about how, for Karolinerna now, how can they fend off this, honestly, pretty disgusting siege from Lionscreed? They're going to have so much tower pressure. Do they go for the 1-3-1? Do they go for the 4-1 split? Do they send someone solo mid and try and look to knock down bot lane as well? So then it's even easier to side lane for Zuix come like past 25 minutes or so. They have almost secured themselves soul. They've got the first 3 Drakes, but Lionscreed now, you're at a point where you're going to start breaking towers, you're going to start forcing priority, you're going to make that jungle dark, as I said. And what that means, Rakish, is K5, yes, they only need 1 Drake, but when it's up, control of the jungle, control of the lanes is going to go in the favor of Lionscreed, and it makes it so much harder to go for that Drake secure. You're going to be walking in, you could get trapped, you could get flanked, you might lose a tower or an inhib for it. So a lot of questions are going to have to be going on in the minds of K5, and it's just so many decisions to make. And when you make so many decisions, inevitably, you're just going to make a mistake.
That's exactly it. Try and get an unforced error out from Karolinerna. As you say, their jungle is pretty much completely dark. They have a control ward, they have a singular stealth ward in that bot side, and mercifully, you have the Maokai to at least provide some level of safety with the saplings, but you do not have much to work with, and Lionscreed making the most of it, pushing on down. Only 1 piece of standing gold left on the map, and it's that tier 2 mid lane.
Yeah, it is just a 1 piece, and the 1 piece is real. Unfortunately, what's also real is this gold lead for Lionscreed. It's like it has exploded over the last 6 minutes or so. Remember, in the first, I think it was 20 minutes around or so, it's just slightly under. K5 were even in gold because of the CS difference that Cobbin and Flukes were able to leverage over. But now that the CS lead is even now, essentially, and really in the mid lane, the gold lead is so in favor of Lionscreed. Big tier difference, of course, in bot lane, it's keeping Flukes in it, but I'm not sure what Flukes can do here. I think this Jinx needs to be trying to hit Emil and Spiky, and I don't know if they can, Brackish. I'm really unsure if they can.
Yeah, they're still around 1,000 gold up onto Spiky right now, but as you say, that's really difficult for Flukes to play the game the way they want. And there's a 3,000 gold difference in the jungle. Yes, okay, they are tanks, but that is going to be an immense difference in how long Panda will survive while stood in the middle of 5 compared to Bash.
Yeah, and it's Abyssal Mast picked up as well. The Evan Shroud is a great investment with the Sunfire as well. This Sejuani's been doing so much damage and so much damage amplification, most importantly. I think the Abyssal Mast is interesting considering the big lack of magic damage. I guess outside of the Caustic Spittle from Spiky, actually, so that might be why that's gone down, and just to avoid getting a one-shot by Cobbin, who has now got the Rabadon's Death Cap. Bracket, can we have a look at how many Splinter Souls, or whatever it's called?
Just hit 100.
Just hit 100, there we go. So
Yep.
her AP is what now? Like, should be anywhere between 350 and 550?
So at 100 stacks, she's got all of her abilities upgraded.
Yep.
It needs to be at 120 stacks
for the
to get the
Rabadons.
Magnum Opus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There we go. Okay. Sorry, guys. There's some certain things I'm unfamiliar with. I have to apologize on my behalf. People in chat were like, "Oh my god, I can't believe." But
save your apologies, Jace. We've got 10 seconds until the Drake comes up.
Yeah.
Karolinerna are looking like they're going to have to give it up. Look at Emil pushing in the bot lane right now. Going to claim the inhibitor already.
Does Emil claim it? This might be disastrous. So if K5 can pick Emil off, they might have a 5v4 for Soul. Has Emil thrown?
I don't think so. He will die for his sins, but in the meantime, his teammates will claim the Drake. I do not think there is anything Karolinerna can do to stop them. That does mean that the Drake stacking will be slowed. However, as you rightly say, that is still a big shutdown given across to the side of Karolinerna. The gold lead is still 5,000, although Cobbin might be in some trouble, has to flash away from the Glacial Fridge. Zuko right on him. The exhaust comes down. Panda still chasing. The remaining members of K5 are trying to chase on in. Xerix has found himself in the middle of two. Floops trying to kite away. The flash will come out from Xerix. Somehow nobody has died yet. Finally, Bash goes down. Xerix will get found by Super Mega Death Rocket. Zuko has to run as well. Spiky is ready to open up, though. 2 items.
Panda flank.
Look to try and find the angle in the flash forwards. Emperor trying to find him. He will be able to claim Spiky's life. The Acathian Surprise will not end the Emperor. And it's K5 who actually come out looking the better of that fight.
Yeah, absolutely. Big fight for K5. They managed to get the shutdown over on Emil. Spiky falls late as well. Lionscreed cannot front to back. There was a little bit of split fights there. It was both Panda and Zuko that went on to Cobbin, but they just don't have the damage late in the game here to take down that Cinder. Flash is forced out from them. We've seen it a couple of times here. I've seen it a couple of times in these NLC games where the team that is down gold will find a fight maybe to get them back into it. And what mostly ends up happening is the team with that gold lead, in this case Lionscreed, will just basically hit a very clean front to back fight, completely wipe them, and that might just be game over. But the Nash is up. K5 do have actually, they have the ultimates to do it. They have TPs from both Emperor and Cobbin to collapse.
In though, Panda looking for the angle in. It landed onto Noda-chan. Floops and Cobbin trying to find the way backwards. Emil has found Cobbin all alone to the side. The Unleashed Power will do nothing. He's found Floops as well. He goes golden, will survive for a moment longer. I think his life will be forfeit as well. No, he survives. Emil goes down as well. That's 2 kills for Floops, who survives. Panda has been caught as well. If they can take down the jungler, that's no smite for the follow-up fight. Floops doing what damage he can. It looks like Panda may be able to get away. Hook lands. The Spiky gets sniped with a Super Mega Death Rocket. Will be able to take down Panda as well. Floops so low, but he does not die. It is only Xerix alive. Karolinerna, there's no wave mid lane right now. They cannot push for anything. They can, however, look to take the Baron for themselves.
Oh, big fight win for K5 to get everything that they want and more. The Nash is waiting for them as a healthy influx of gold too. And finally, that is the fight for the Jinx. The resets come in, they get to kite back the peel that comes in. The stopwatch investment from Flute essentially giving them a lifeline, and it could be the deciding factor in the game. The singular purchase of that stasis could be it, because Emil found the flank, they found the angle, but they went too deep. That extra jump in that W too far, and Lionscreed get punished for it. Spiky is just instantly one-shot by the damage that Flute was able to hit onto them. I was worried that the Jinx did not have the range, did not have the ability to punch through the tanks. But the tanks were split yet again. Lionscreed, they sever their front line, and ultimately it just means that Emil is collapsed, then Spiky is run down afterwards. There's not enough tools to peel. Guardian Angel now up for Flubes. He's level 15, 29 minutes in. They've got the potential to turn towards Soul in just over 90 seconds. But that is then, and this is now, and they've got a Nash powered wave, and they're looking to try and siege this base. Inhib's good. Side lane's good, tier 2s is good. They've got no one on the side lanes. They're not the most pushed, so we might just see a little A-ramming.
Hey, you remember that 6k gold lead that Lionscreed had a couple of minutes ago?
Wait, it's completely
Yeah, it's gone.
Jeez.
It is entirely gone. Karolinerna shoving down the mid lane, Lionscreed forced to answer, and they can just let this Baron empowered cannon minion continue to do its thing as we will find ourselves into a pause.
Nodu-chan is out.
Oh my word.
Nodu-chan is out.
We get a
You don't
moment.
need me, guys.
We get a moment to talk about the current state of the game.
Yeah.
Because, my word.
Brackish,
It was so Lionscreed for so long.
Yeah.
One stopwatch, as you say. Many have just done it for Karolinerna.
Yes, it was just that one stopwatch because Floobs is all of their damage in that fight. Cobbin had no thumbs, no unleashed power. Without the fight, might have even been dead. And it was just Floobs who has been essentially CSing the whole game. There is the classic line, right, about ADCs, about guys, let me farm. We go 35 minutes, win off macro. Let me get 3 items and I'll carry. And that was it for Floobs. That IE, the Lord Dominates regards to Kraken Slayer, just doing so much damage. And Floobs was their win con, and they managed to keep him alive. It was just free hitting effectively. They get the Nash off it, and you're right, like that gold lead was just like instantly zipped away. I believe it's now 7 kills apiece for Emil and Floobs. And man, Emil, it felt like they had to work so hard for those 7 kills. Yeah, it felt like as well, the Brackish, like Emil had to work like so hard for those 7 kills, whereas Floobs has just gotten it back in like 1 team fight or 2. It's nuts. Like this gold lead is just evaporated, and it's like left me a little bit stunned because like Brash in particular, so weak. Emperor, honestly, quite strong, looking very good here. Not on the Orn, but doing equally as much threat. And of course,
are you saying that Floops is a trust fund kid? Maybe. Just just casually gets an injection of gold when they hit 20, and they're made for the rest of their lives. We do have the pause concluding. We'll get ourselves enough of this shenaniganry. Cannon minion empowered by the Baron, still knocking on that inhibitor turret. Karolinerna, they don't need to pull the trigger. They've got all of the disengage angles. Now they push in with the wave. They take down the inhibitor. What can Lionscreed do to stop them?
Floobs are going to keep getting resets. Remember, structure damage gives that Jinx the excited passive. But I believe Cobbin is definitely over 120 souls or splinter shards now. So can we have a quick look at Cobbin's AP damage?
477 AP.
477 without the Void Staff being completed as well. This Syndra, Spikey and Emil should be very, very careful because all it's going to take is 1 R. Cobbin can absolutely 1-for-1, either Emil or Spikey. And if they do, well, there's going to be 3 other big, beefy tanks to keep Floops alive. And the siege is on. Let's see if the wave clear from Lionscreed can match the Baron empowered minions. And it can't. This is a big wave in top. The wave in mid is cleared.
The answer is no, Jace. 2 inhibitors drop. Lionscreed potentially looking for an angle in. Bash will get the Dark Passage out. The Drake is now spawning. Karolinerna want to go and get that pickup, although they now have to race Lionscreed to get there. It does look like Lionscreed want to pick this one up, but now they perhaps are put into the impossible choice, Drake or base.
It might be, they might trade Drake for base. I think K5 are probably just going to try and look for the fight after, because look how quickly Lionscreed do it. So potentially a little bit of a overstay there for K5 on the top side of the map. They deny themselves soul, that would have been perfect, but I mean, Nash is still on. K5, they've grouped for that Drake, and now they're just going to go and push bots instead. Spikey is on top to try and clear out that wave. He's going to have no time rotating over, but K5, 5 manning here on this bot lane, looking to, I think, just try and close out the game. The Nash has just expired, unfortunately.
Yep.
But how long is it until it spawns? 2.5 minutes. So nothing really to fight for in terms of neutral objectives, but K5 being so strong. Remember, we're at 32 minutes. All of these plays in this game, very high level. So the respawn timers are going to be so big. It might just be one team fight is all that K5 need to potentially, dare I say, steal this game.
They were behind for so long, but they did not bleed out. They did not give over too many kills, and when the moment mattered, it is with a flash of gold that Floops turned its game on its head. The stopwatch to end all stopwatches. turns it around, and now Karolinerna knocking on the door of the third and final inhibitor of Lionscreed. This is only game one, remember, but setting a good momentum, setting a good precedent, Jace, would be so huge for the rest of the series. And I want to remind you, loser goes home.
It is, yeah. Remember, it's a best of 3. Zoix is in.
The carries have already got out towards the backside, though. Flutes and Common completely fine here. Spiky, however, is melting the front line, and the front line has completely evaporated. Spiky goes into the Guardian Angel, trying to get the final hits from Spiky. Floops dropping so low, will be able to knock down all but Panda, but it is Lionscreed who will make the fight happen. The inhibitor stands tall. However, the Nexus turrets are being hit on. That was incredibly close, a game of millimeters.
Yeah, I think we should just point out that Floops got a quadra kill in that fight, and it was absolutely to save the game yet again. Floops out of the GA, basically in like a 1v3 situation, kills both carries with like 6 autos. That lethal tempo fully stacked up. Emil and Spiky did it. They lasted until the end against that Jinx, but the damage just came through. The crits landed. GA has now been sold in favor of Bloodthirster for that Zorn misfit on the side of K5. But Lionscreed, like, they found the fight, but Floob's just being able to kill both of their ADCs means that Lionscreed, because their base has been so blown open, they can't get anything for it. They're going to get a small
There's nobody up to get it.
Yeah, no, there's no one up to break the base for the side of Lionscreed at least. But, I mean, Emil and Spiky, like, you were able to clean up so many people at the start of that fight. It was, I said, like a 2v3 or like a 1v2 situation. And Floob's managed to kill, just killing both carries there. It's so crucial for K5 as they're potentially looking to IG Bush Lionscreed here.
Lionscreed not falling for it seems. However, Hook comes out. Panda does not get caught. Karolinerna slink back into the darkness. The Baron is just now spawning. Lionscreed can't walk up the mid lane. They've got mid prio here. Emil should be able to shove this one in. Karolinerna make the call. They start off the Baron. Emil spotted out Cobbin there.
They know they're on it.
I think they know that the Syndra is not here. The Baron dropping so low. Panda looking for the angle in. Can he find the steal? No, he cannot. Bash will secure it. Panda will be melted out, but the rest of Karolinerna are trying to make it happen. Lionscreed looking forwards.
Floops is one.
Of Karolinerna have dropped so low. Floops has gone, but Cobbin and Nochan are able to get out alive. Cobbin, full health, still has the unleashed power in pocket. The carries of Lionscreed do have to flee for their lives. Again, these fights, key members dropping left and right, but nobody able to find a game-ending advantage.
We're almost in a stalemate. Cobbin has got the Nash, Nodu-chan has it as well, so once the respawns come in, that might be it. Soul is up in under a minute as well, and now I think Lionscreed, the key decision is in their hands. K5 might go for the base. They might try and finally, on the third attempt, take that Dragon Soul. Emil is going to have GA and red buff. This is as strong as this Tristana will get. The GA is going to be so important for this Trist here. No GA up, but a stopwatch for Spiky as well. Emperor does have TP.
TPs.
Yeah, could elect to TP, and K5 have the TP collapse. They're going to be losing mid-prio for now, Rakish. But this, it feels like it, because of the amount of backwards and forwards and the stalemate that we've got in these last couple of ones. I think this finally, because of the state of mid waves, this might just be the fight to end the game. You would think so at 36 minutes in anyway, but all it takes is one good R from Emperor or one good Glacial Prism from Panda, and this game could be completely flipped on its head. It's so winnable for both teams, and I think that's what's so cool about this game.
They are jostling for mid priority right now. Drake has spawned. Lionscreed doesn't want to start it without a concrete advantage. Karolinerna now find their way to muscle into the river. Lionscreed now find themselves on the other side of priority. They do have the mid advantage, but they need to push in into 5. Nature's Grasp comes through. Karolinerna will be able to melt down the Drake. Nature's Grasp landed onto 4 members as the soul is secured. They do not push into the base. They don't get anything and are forced to watch as the soul is taken.
There's the soul that K5 need. Their composition is about kiting in and out, kiting back and then going in to try and shred down this front line. They've got the movement speed after they do it. Still a wealth of ultimates available. It was only the Nature's Grasp committed by Bash. K5, have they caught Lionscreed out here flat-footed? Do they have the engages? No flash on Emperor, but the R from the Malphite could still come in. Zoix, the hook just goes wide. K5, there we go.
Unstoppable Force only lands onto Zoix. There is not going to be enough survivability here. It does drop eventually. Spiky is going to be the one to get the first kill of the fight, though. Nona-chan forced to run out. Zoix survives, actually, and 3 members, just like that, of Karolinerna melt away like nothing. It is only Cobbin and Floops who survive. They have nothing to protect them, as all 5 members, there's the teleport from Zoix, Lionscreed. Enough of this farce, they say. They want to close it out, Jace.
They got a bit nervous there in the end, but with only Cobbin and Floops being alive, yes, they are the carries, but they've got no one to peel for them. Nice flash from Zoix.
There's the flash from Floops, but he's got no way out. No Guardian Angel this time. Emil on a rampage, and the Nexus turrets are simply gonna melt. Cobbin can try to do what he will, but it's not gonna matter. It was back, it was forth, but it was Lionscreed that will secure game 1.
They get the last draw in the end there. Really scary situation for both of these teams. I thought that the fight on Drake could have been it. Smart for Lionscreed just to give. Do not want to walk into the Nature's Grasp. K5, they had the Soul. They got the Baron, but they just couldn't do anything with it. Emil, once it hit that level 18, Spikey got to 4 items. And yet again, it was just a little bit of a misengage from the Malphite. The Malphite goes in. That's one frontliner that can no longer peel for the carries. Zoix goes in after him, goes in behind him. The space is created. The Malphite is instantly one-shot thanks to the bulk damage, the ODR, and everything else on the side of the Cogmore and Emil on that Tristana. And it's just a mid-push into end of the game. 40-minute banger for game 1. Wonder if the adaptions are going to be made into game 2. But I think if you're Karolinerna, I don't think you can be upset with how that game went. You had the opportunity to close it out.
Yeah, then there can be some inspections into what happened that didn't allow them to do that. But with a game going as long as it did, a game 1 like this, that bodes very well for having one hell of a scrappy series. Game 2, of course, coming right up just after this. Do not go anywhere. Plenty more action to come. Welcome back, everybody. Ahead of game number 2, it went every way to Sunday, Jace, but it's Lionscreed after a scrap and a half who come out on top.
Yeah, that first game was a bloodbath. There was 26 kills, 40-minute banger, Soul, like 3 Nashes, almost Soul being taken in a reverse sweep for Lionscreed. In the end, they did not need it. Emil hitting that level 18 on Tristana, getting those items, getting that double buff, and just being able to chew through. But Floops and Co, they really tried. I think that's something that K5 can look to once again go towards. I don't want to say lack of jungle presence towards bot, because it was very top centric in the early game, and I'm not going to criticize it because obviously these players know more than I do. But the amount of presence that like both junglers had with the mid and top ganks in the early game, interesting considering how much onus was left. In particular, the support as well. Also roaming top, it was a little bit of a farm fest in the bot lane, but that allowed Floops to freescale. And if that's going to happen again, hey, I think K5 they're not going to be too upset about it.
No, not at all. I could see that this draft going very similarly to the first one, with maybe some slight adjustments, because neither team had a horrendous time of it.
I don't think you let the Tristana through if you're the side of
maybe not
Lionscreed, but you've also now played against it, and you know when it spikes. And it also got like Emil got like almost unnaturally fed early, got so many kills. Now they know that the invades might come in onto Brash. Brash got put so far behind because of those 2 early kills that came onto him for the invade, and then the counter invade, the counter collapse. But the only thing is, if you ban that Tristana, like what else are you letting through? Because if you ban it on first rotation, then you are just letting potentially like a Heimer or something else slip through the cracks. K5 are on, you say they were on red side, they opted to stick on red side.
Yes, they're staying red side for game 2.
So the Lionscreed, Lissandra Viego slam on B2, B3 is still available and up for them, but K5 have the option to essentially counterpick and deny that. I think the Sejuani got a lot of work done last game. Would also be surprised if that isn't picked up. But Lionscreed are on blue side. I think blue side's front at the moment. They are going to have the first pick. Whatever they want, most likely they can get.
Yeah, and as you said, there's so many different options they can look towards. If the Tristana gets taken away, maybe they leave the Xayah unbanned, or perhaps they go for something else of the great vast array of OPs that can be selected. Maybe you take the Malphite, the Maokai for yourself for that big, potent jungler. Although, of course, when you can handshake a Sejuani Maokai, like it's not quite as crucial that you get the Maokai yourself.
No, I think the tank junglers are almost just like a kind of the same sort of, the same kettle of fish almost. They just sort of all do the same thing. Going to be waiting for both teams to get into a lobby now. I'm sure there's heavy discussion going on with their coaches about what they want to draft in the next game. Brackish, if you are K5, or just in general, after losing game 1 in a best of 5, how easy do you think it is to just almost knee-jerk and completely change your game plan? How quickly do you think you have to actually get rid of your game plan when things really start going against the fan and it starts, you start getting backed up against a wall? Like, what is the psychology now you think going on in the minds of K5 after losing a honestly very winnable and very close game 1?
That's right. That's just it. I think this is not a game where they go, oh, we need to throw the playbook out the window. They didn't get stomped, not even close. They kept the goal even. They did not bleed out for the vast majority of the game. Unfortunately, they couldn't quite get over the finish line. And there can be small adjustments to that. And yes, of course, not winning a game that by all rights you could have won, perhaps can take a little bit of a toll. But I don't think you really need to change that much if you're Karolinerna here. As we were saying just a couple of moments ago, it worked. In everything, did. Well, it worked after that stopwatch, right up until the fight where they got wiped.
It was so close. As we said, the stopwatch to end all stopwatches. Floops, they gave them a lifeline with that stasis, but they managed to stabilize in the end, did Lionscreed. And I've seen those games go in both directions now.
Team that has the gold lead early, massive gold lead early. They ended up like throwing it and letting, like they did just let the Jinx scale basically the whole game. They weren't worried about it at all. They just sort of let it scale. But as I said, like you can sometimes get so far ahead in gold that even if you lose our fight and you give over the shutdowns, you're still so strong, and the enemy team just don't quite have the game plan to get back into it. They don't have the prio, they don't have the vision, they don't have the objectives, the turrets left up, that you just find one more good fight, and that is the game. And it was kind of that for Lionscreed. But to be fair to K5, like Lionscreed were looking for that one last final good fight, but K5 didn't give it to them. They did so well to trade, in particular, both of the AD carries effectively, both marksmen, the mid and the bot lane, Spiky and Emil, so that when the dust settled, there was only one person alive on Lionscreed, and it was a tank. And a tank without a Baron buffed wave, like what siege do you get done in 30 or 40 seconds? It's literally negative. They had to just walk away.
Especially since the Nexus was already being hit onto by the mid wave as well. There was absolutely nothing Panda could do after that super chaotic bot lane fight. And I'm wondering, what your take on this one? If you're in K5 spot right now, if you were to change anything in a big way, do you double down on scaling? Or do you perhaps go for something a bit more aggressive and try and play Lionscreed at their own game?
I think you can. I don't want to say you can try it, because like if you try and change your approach for game 2 and you lose,
and fail,
then it's like, okay, you just kind of entered the game away for free. But on the flip side, if you do the same thing again and you lose, it's like, are you just the definition of insanity, trying the same thing and expecting different results? I think I couldn't make the call, and I don't think anyone could. I think you'd be a fool to make it. And I think ultimately it would just boil down to comfort and what's left open. If your carry players have got their comfort pits open and those comfort pits are scaling, we like almost reopen the document, like what the K5 have that can scale. Yasuo, Kindred, but if Draven is left open, go full mono red draft. As we said, we joked a little bit about magic terminology before we went live. Listen, if you can lock Draven early, 15 rare burn it, just lightning bolt the enemy's face as much as you can. Go and play for Draven, because get Draven one singular cash out and it might just be the game. The G2 draft came out in the side of Lionscreed in favor of game 1. Cogmore is a champion, and Cogmore is a great champion. Was a little bit undershadowed by Emil and that Tristana, definitely taking all the limelight for themselves there. But in a couple of key fights, man, Spiky was doing so much with that caustic spittle.
Oh yeah, the early game was all Emil, but later into the game, especially that critical last fight,
Spiky did like enough
of Karolinerna. I was John Travolta memeing going, where have the tanks gone?
Is that the meme from Pulp Fiction where he's just like,
yes.
yeah, okay, good.
I swear that there were 3 tanks here a second ago.
Yeah, it's tanks mod check. And that was all they needed. They didn't even need to clean wipe them. Once you get rid of those 3 tanks, it was only Floops and Cobbin against all 5. And yes, you have 2 carries.
Great peel on that.
Yeah, you have 2 carries, but no peel. So a good luck in esports is all I would say. Hopefully we get into draft soon here, because slowly but surely running out of topics. But nonetheless, I'm looking forward to the K5 draft and adaptation, because I think you have to. And as I said, that game, Bracken, was so close.
It was, absolutely was. We are just waiting for, it seems like Zuko is having a little bit of problem getting into the lobby perhaps, but
oh no, not again.
We should be in there shortly. Should we relate Magic to League a little bit while we wait?
Sure. There might be people that don't get it, but I feel like there's other like content creators and like higher notoriety streamers.
I mean, LS is the big one, right?
Yes, I think so.
I hear him all the time going, "Oh, this is the most mono red draft I've ever seen."
Yeah. Interesting enough, there was a discussion he had with Max Waldo, which I know some people find his take controversial, but this isn't really a take. This is just an observation, and I think it was really interesting. He used the analogy of the different variations of like planeswalkers compared to champion variants. So, for example, anyone that plays Magic knows that Jace, Wielder of Mysteries, is massively different from Jace, the Completed Mind, or whichever one it is from Phyrexia or Obi-Wan. But effectively, mid Gragas and top Gragas is the same champion, but when you compare it to jungle Gragas, how differently does it play? How differently does it itemize? And it's like that flexibility option, effectively, what that argument boils down to is when you pick the Gragas, and this is the power of flex picks, this is why they're so important, because when you pick that Gragas, you don't know, the enemy don't know whether it is going to be the top or mid tank mode, or they're going to be that jungle mode, so they can't draft against it. It allows you to avoid weaknesses in your draft by picking up flex picks early. And that's the bulk of the argument pretty much. But yeah, I don't know if you got anything to add to that.
This is a long shot that I don't know if anyone who's listening will have heard. I don't know if you'll have heard. Have you seen the Day 9 Mind Games like StarCraft clip where he and Apollo are at MLG Rally in like 2012?
Definitely not then, no.
So this is a situation similar to the one we find ourselves in, where a player was struggling to get into the game, and so they had to kind of just play for time rather than wanting to send it to a break.
Yeah.
And so they were trying to keep composed. They talked about mind games in StarCraft, which was really stupid builds that would fool your opponent and therefore clearly beat them. I'm trying to think if there's a comparison to that for League. It basically is kind of flex picks that do the heavy lifting of that.
Yeah, I would imagine it's like the really crazy flex pick, just to close off on this topic. Like maybe like you B2 like Karthus, and you have the potential to flex him. Oh, I was going to say, like, you pick Karthus and the enemy like, okay, this is a flex pick, but it might be a jungle bot flex pick. And then you play him top, and the enemy are just like, oh my God, we're just going to let a car, because the enemy picked like potentially like Blind Orn, for example, and then you put Karthus top and he just gets to scale for free. This has been done, I believe, in the LPL with Rise. But that might just be the shy when he's feeling a little bit adventurous, or his coach has told him to play something else. So we shall see.
I mean, it's, as far as I can tell with the shy, it's Renekton or bust for the most part.
For him at the moment,
now.
Yeah. But historically.
Anyway, Jace, we are into draft for game number 2.
Okay, good. Thank God.
This is looking oddly familiar.
Let's see what we've got. Reopen the parsec.
That's different.
Yeah. Nico Zayaban the same. Heimerban the same. I just think it's about the R1, R2 for K5 for Karolinerna and what they go with. Jace, once again, banned away. Tristana banned, there we go, respect ban.
I mean, Emil did work on it in game number 1, and it seems, as I suggested, the Maokai first pick is going to be selected for Lionscreed. I imagine that means we just see Bashko Sejuani, but as we know, he is a fan of his spicier picks. Could see Kindred, could see something like a Belveth.
They could pick it on 3, because now that they know that this is like 99% the jungler for Lionscreed, so if there are any prior picks that K5 want to grab, you've got 2 picks to get them. So maybe slam bot lane, maybe you could just pick jungle, because then it's one less decision to make. They do have to blind something here. There's nothing that they particularly feel like they want to grab, because I think just the time in which it took K5 to pick most likely means that they were discussing and very heavily. And yeah, Emperor is just trying to pick up that Sejuani for his jungler. Let's hope Bash has a little bit of a better early game than they managed to do on the reverse. Oh, the Kai'Sa gets through.
It does indeed. Could go to Carbon, could go to Flutes, but it's very, very powerful nonetheless. We were talking about mind games. There is, of course, the potential to put the Sejuani into a flex it into top lane.
Oh,
but
Zoe's Rumble
didn't get banned. There is the Rumble, who also makes it through the first ban phase, and Karolinerna lost 2 games to it versus Venom Crest. It seems Lionscreed at least picking that up for themselves. It will be the Braum again for Zuko.
Okay, the Draven. Potentially thinking about taking it away from Flubes, but no, they're just going to slam Cog. I mean, Cog Braum against Draven is probably quite good, right? So that takes basically the angle off the board for Flubes, but I think letting Kai'Sa through for Lionscreed is a little bit of a mistake, considering this is like one of the strongest champs on the patch. But I mean, you've got a Cogmore draft again. So, see you at 35 minutes. Good luck in esports, K5. If you dare let this Cogmore get 3 or 4 items.
Kai'Sa did get tapped down a tiny bit on 13-15. Of course, if you miss the evolved W, then it's going to be longer before it comes back.
Yeah.
And if you hit it, it's going to be slightly longer than before it comes back as well. You can't just pop plasma by pressing W 3 times, which I think is quite nice.
Balanced.
Does now mean though that the AD or hybrid Kaisers have been coming back a little bit more. The more standard, just traditional marksman burst you out with the Cathian rain damage.
Yeah, like the Kraken Slayer into the sort of Gale Force build or Kraken IE, whatever. Most likely Kraken Gale Force. The set band for K5 do not want to let Zurich play one of their more comfortable champions. Yeah, almost daring them to pick Rumble in this spot. Let's see what's K5's final ban here, because I think it could be another top laner, potentially taking away another one of Zurich's comfort picks. Could be a mid lane ban. It is going to be a Fiora. What, are they just going to pick like Ornn here then on 4?
It is the Emperor special. They could potentially do that. I don't know if I'd want them to pick it on 4, because that would leave him open to the Rumble. But maybe you just leave Emperor for last pick. I mean, Cobham did fine on a Syndra that he was first picked. So you could potentially just lock your mid laner in here. It's like, okay, the super dominant mid laner, in the Tristana is gone. In fact, the Syndra will take a ban to the face.
Yeah, so clearly scared of Cobham's Syndra in that first game. Did manage to get to those 120 splinters in the late game, but unfortunately I think got there a little bit too late. Was just unable to really find anything. To be fair, so many tanks in the Syndra's face, nothing that they could really do. Ahri is locked in. Okay, looking to find the flanks and angles. And I mean, that was how Emil was able to get so much value in the first game. The front to back, the back to front comp, the kite away comp that K5 was playing was punished by the flanks for Emil. Is Cobham looking to do the same?
Could well be, and of course combos very nicely with the Sejuani. One piece of CC lands, almost guarantee the charm or whatever the next CC in line. We got a Lucian coming out. The AD mid laners still being very prevalent for Emil here, and that should be Lucian going into mid. Of course, Vigilance is not as good as it. Well, with the arrival of Vigilance, solo lane Lucian has been tapped down a little, but it's still going to be proccing a hell of a lot in team fights.
Yeah, definitely. And a Jax blind for Zurich in the top lane.
I don't like Ornn here, and I've got one word for you. In fact, I'm not even going to say it. There's Braum.
Yeah.
Just Unbreakable, called the Forge God. You are mitigating so much of the Ornn value. Now, of course, they still got the ornaments. You can still look to do that. And of course, it is Emperor's favorite champion, 13 games on it. Instead, they look for the flex. Top. They send the... Is it the Jarvan top or is it the Sejuani top?
It might be the Sejuani top. Wait. The Jarvan champion. I don't think Jarvan top, right? No, we're not in LPL. No. It's going to be Jarvan jungle. Well, there we go. The flex pick. The Sejuani top.
I can't believe I was right.
The TP the TP ignite potential, it might just be flash TP, but little bit of a, dare we say, a little bit of a dive comp for K5, to use a terminology from one of my other games. Brash, Cobham, and Floops are going to be looking to get onto Spiky and Emil. Hey, double AD carry, not the most mobile or immobile. They don't want to play front to back because, hey, you're playing front to back against double AD carry. You're just going to lose. But Emil on this Lucian, Maokai Lucian, seems very, very strong. I forget which AP jungler it was when Lucian mid was really, really meta around. It was when I was watching a lot of LEC and when I was first getting into it. It was like season 10 or 11, it probably was. It was like Lucian Tristana meta. It was like when Larson was on Rogue, Inspired was on Rogue. It was Caps and Yankos. Wonder was still on G2. It was when I think Pert's last season on G2, and Caps was just Larson and all these mid laners handshaking Lucian Tristana like every single game.
Pretty much.
We shall see. There's potential for an AP Cogmore, but lethal tempo on Spiky means no, that there isn't. Black Cleaver value would be insane for Zurich here on this Jax because both of his carries are ADCs. But on the flip side, there's Onya's Hourglass, the Jarvan character. I'm interested. I think this entire game can hinge on the Jarvan Ahri mid jungle for K5.
Yeah.
We've seen Lionscreed control games.
No doubt.
Brackish with the mid jungle of Lissandra Viego. Let's see what Jarvan Ahri does. I think this is like This is either a DRX Classic or this is a LPL Classic. I think DRX made a really good run to Worlds playing RE and AD junglers for Zeka last season.
We already see a little bit of spice coming out from Karolinerna here, possibly trying to knock Panda off his pathing a little bit. Ward put down by Cobban, and as you theorized, Emperor is going for the TP Ignite Sejuani in this top lane, and it's going to be difficult for Xerxes to really do anything into him, right?
Yeah. Oh, no Chan.
Gets
Double
the
passive.
stun, has been ignited, flash forward,
it's a
first
disaster.
blood secured for Spiky.
It's just a disaster. No Chan loses his flash, but that is not the worst there. It's just 400 gold over to Spiky. Going to be getting up a free longsword. And if they would have had longsword start, would they have had the damage? Maybe, maybe not. But it's going to be a very early longsword. Already now the damage in this lane going over for the side of Spiky and Zuko. Junglers start cross map. Obviously, got to remember a multi-flex of options here for both of these junglers. Either of them can go top. They can do their quadrant into a top gank. They could do a quadrant into a bot gank. They could do, Red Raptors Gromp, buff Gromp, and whatnot. The flexibility, very, very good. And most importantly, you know that both of these junglers are going to show up early, Brackish, but it's just about being able to hide which camps you've done. And then it means that the invade, the cross-map potential can't come in because it's harder to read, and therefore you can stay a bit longer in the lane of your choice.
Yeah, right now, after that first blood thing settled down nicely, junglers doing their clears, but yeah, we need to look in on that job. And of course, champion that if you haven't ganked, I think every lane by the time you hit level 3, or by the time you first Drake spawns, let's say.
Yeah.
Are you even playing the job? Are you even playing Jarvan correctly?
No, absolutely not. This is the Malrang special. You just take whatever rune he wants, and then he just knows need to use a lane off cooldown. Speaking of, here we go.
Oh, hey.
Flash needed.
Emil does manage to dash away, going to put the damage back on
That's the
towards
charm.
Cobban.
There we go.
Feeling way too confident there. Charm will land. Bash picks up his first kill of the game. However, Panda showing up bot side now. Nodachan going to give up his second death of the game. Floop's going to have to dodge away from this as well. Bash making his way towards bot side. Emperor feeling possibly a little bit confident, although very, very low on mana. Will have to give up that play. Bash is currently watching, waiting.
Can we check if he's on vision?
I don't think he is.
No, he isn't. I don't think he would be.
Doesn't seem to have been spotted yet.
Now, how long does Bash want to stay here? Because this wave eventually will push out, but I think Floop's on the crash might just be a base. Yeah, there we go. We see Bash walk back to his camps. But this is an early gank in the bot lane for Panda. Was very heavily playing towards top last game, but I guess he's definitely trusting a bit more in his Jax. Does not need to cover, does not feel a need to get this Jax ahead because, of course, scaling champion.
Yeah. But on the other side, in theory at least, we got a scaling champion in the Cogmore, who is 2-0 right now. Oh no, Floops.
He might be 3-0.
Bash is coming in here, possibly for the save. Stun lands. The knockup does not actually land from Bash, but this is an early Jarvan. Does plenty of damage. One more hit should do the trick. Chasing down with the Acathian surprise. The Supercharger will keep Kai'Sa safe from the Void Terror. That is a kill traded back. So, 2 lanes out of 3 at least have been visited by Bash in this early game. Doing good things on this Jarvan.
It's a transformative early game from Bash. How far behind they were put on the Maokai. Now they seem to be unlocked on this Jarvan, just knowing that they can go and EQ a lane anytime that they want. I think there's a rule amongst common junglers. It's almost 3-2-1. You want to go 3 to your prio lane, 2 to mid lane, and 1 to your weak side lane by about 10 minutes or so. So far, we're counting 1 visit to bot lane, 1 visit to mid lane, with 0 being left in top. But Zewix, I don't know if Zewix has the damage to deal with Emperor early. I think Sejuani, I don't
Absolutely not yet.
Yeah, my theory on the champ is a little bit rusty, particularly in top lane, but it just feels like Emperor is going to be so hard to move in particular. And speaking of, going to be back on the pig, back on the ball, roaming towards potential for Lionscreed to take an early Drake here with Panda once again hovering bot side. This game, I thought the game was going to be very bot-centric last time, Brackish, and this game it seems actually that is what has transpired.
Seems that way. Panda did get spotted on vision towards bot side, so we'll go back for his camps. Cobban potentially trying to look to get out onto the roam, gets vision down towards the Drake just in case Lionscreed want to start anything up. Right now, Bash just trying to catch back up on camps towards Panda. About two up right now.
Yeah, I believe the ward is revealed by the Scuttle Crab, so I think Lionscreed know that K5 have vision on it.
Oh yeah.
But there's no need, I guess, for either of these teams. Like, yes, Flubes is actually ahead in CS, but they got the shutdown, down a kill, but they got the shutdown onto Spiky.
Hey, Bash. He's here in the top lane. There is level 6 secured for both of these top laners. Counter-Strike will not get Xerix out. Flashes, but it's towards the tower.
Xerix, I don't know about that one, Chief. It's okay. I think he tried something there, and unfortunately, the passive proc.
Ladies and gentlemen, and everyone in between at home, if you're keeping score there, that means Bash, mission successful. Drake not been taken yet. He has visited all of his lanes. He's doing a Santa cosplay this game.
Yeah, and he could also just do Gromp and then run back to bot lane. Malrang special. Here we go. This wave is not pushing out for his team, but he could potentially cover. Nice lantern out. Look at the damage that Flubes is taking, by the way. Man, this Caustic Spittle trade is just so uneven.
Yeah, Byrocane Barrage just makes it so Floops has to take 1, 2, maybe even 3 auto attacks just for the courtesy of getting into range to even hit Spiky. Zuko now looking to go forwards. As you say it, Bash is here. The stun will come forward, but Floops is going to be able to take down Zuko. Spiky quite low as well, but here comes Emil and Panda. Bash, I think, is far enough out to be able to survive this. We'll even take a Dark Passage to get out. And Karolinerna biting back. They picked up a whole bunch of kills for themselves.
Yeah, I think this is so good. There are no neutral objectives being secured, but they kind of don't need to. I think the biggest win condition for K5 is just gold. Gold onto the Ahri, gold onto the Kai'Sa. As you said, nerfed, but still one of the strongest on the patch. Zuix, you might have watched too many Balfods here, Chief. You are proxying between 2 towers. I mean, there's not much that Emperor can do about the proxy, to be fair, but I'm always nervous when I see a proxy going on in top lane, particularly because Bash is just based and is running top side.
Yeah, just one too many Babas videos, and
eventually
we'll be able to get that recall off. Is going to head back into lane with a Sheen, with a Kindle Gem, almost certainly going towards that Divine Sunder, which is going to be big value against Emperor and Bash later into the game.
Yeah, I think Thunder and Cleaver, the 2 items for Zuix, could be so good. This Jax champion, honestly, I think it's been OP for like 10 years. And I can't quite fact check that, of course. Definitely not been playing for that long. But Jax in its current state,
pretty good.
Like, it's an auto-attacking, basically base champion. I think that's what a lot of people almost get trapped into, more in lower elos. But Jax with like lethal tempo, for example, on-hit damage with Thunderer, on-hit damage anyway, ramping attack speed, magic damage as well on his autos and on some of his attacks. Zuix, trying potentially to look, but no. Herald secured for Bash and K.
Yep, good cross-map, Lionscreed. We're able to secure the first Drake.
Kai'Sa has Kraken already.
Yep.
They just straight rush it.
That's just how it be, really.
Sometimes, you know, it's just the way the cookie crumbles, and it don't be like it is.
Yeah, you get 2 kills.
66.
Including,
67,
most importantly, that was 2 kills, including a shutdown.
Yeah, so it's like 2.5 effectively. Yeah. They got the 300 gold and they got the 450 from the shutdown onto Spiky. You're right. But Spiky is behind it, does not have the Bork, instead has the Lightning Greaves. And attack speed obviously way more relevant on Cogmore than AD because you want to get as many autos off during that W, as I have said many a time.
Hang on a second. Did you say Lightning Greaves? I know we were talking about magic earlier.
Oh, no, it's Berserker's Greaves, isn't it? Yeah.
Berserker Greaves.
I did say Lightning Greaves. I said it last game as well.
Just amusing to me, they engage coming in towards mid lane. The Charm will not find Emil. The culling not doing that much damage. So it's a little bit hurt onto Emperor, but at the end of the day, it's all kind of nothing, really.
Yeah, my bad. I've been crafting like a Voltron deck, so I've been looking at all of like the artifacts and stuff, and that Lightning Greaves. It felt like it should just be called Lightning Greaves. Berserkers, like surely Lightning indicates better attack speed than Berserkers. It's Riot's problem, not
we can
mine.
argue semantics later, perhaps.
Yeah.
But right now, Jace, we find ourselves slight advantage for Karolinerna, about 700 right now. Floops doing pretty well for himself. Of course, Nodichan had a really rough start to the game. TP coming in from Emperor here. We might find Xerix in a bit of trouble.
Ignite.
There is an Ignite there as well.
Drop
One
it.
more hit would do the trick. He is burning down, ticking
he's
down.
dead.
Will he drop? One last
Whoa!
tick does not
What
do it.
HP?
Xerix basically won. Gets on out though.
Just another auto. How on earth does that Jack survive? It's a lifeline. He's going to have to base without TP. But I mean, no Ignite. You'd think K5, you kind of have to secure the kill once you drop it. But Emperor's just going to get a plate. And this has been a pretty good Sejuani top game so far. Of course, the ball and her
Good
trusty
recovery.
human is going to be doing well in the early game. Until the Jax gets Thunderer, I could just assume that this matchup is Sejuani favoured. I don't think it takes much of a genius to figure that out. But who cares about top when we're in bot? And so is Bash.
He is once again looking for that angle in. However, keep an eye on Panda. Is waiting in the wings as well. I think he smells something fishy going on here. Lionscreed, or Spiky and Zuko rather, do not seem to want to fall for this one.
Go drinker up for Bash, actually. So big item advantage for K5 here, even though it's only 700 gold lead. Maokai, of course, having that giant spout, getting a blasting 1-2, so looking to go for that demonic embrace rush, bit of that AP Maokai, solo AP Maokai with the phase rush. But, I mean, both of these junglers just essentially staring out of vision, hiding in the dark.
Yeah,
I'm not sure who
a
this
lot of
benefits.
time committed here. They're going to go on to Zuko, is able to get out. Nature's Grasp coming out. TP being committed as well from Cobbin. Back drops down. The engage comes forward. Flute with the killer instinct onto Spiky. A couple more hits will do it. They will take that one down. No-Chan still alive, but Emil now joins the fray. Cobbin has to get away, but gets hit with the twisted advance. Culling comes out. Couple more hits will do it. Emil flashes forwards to put his mortal enemy in the dirt, and that's a double kill for the Lucian.
That was clean. Gets revenge on Nodu-chan for capturing his wife and keeping her in a lantern for like 6 years. Big clean play though from Emil. All law jokes aside, like that was so clean from the mid laner. Managed to get there. Second, of course, did not have the TP. Cobbin had a window to clean up the fight, but Emil just rotates second. Panda went in second, and in the end, the collapses from Lionscreed came just in time. And I think if they would have gotten there a little bit later, or not even collapsed at all, that would have been so one-sided for K5. It would have been very scary going into this mid-game. But Everfrost completed for K5. They've got another mythic on board, but I think the shutdown's now being over. Oh, we do have the replay. Here we go.
The chase forwards from K5 was good, but Bash is already dead here. Emil comes in. This is trivial.
Yeah, I think a little bit of an overstay. I don't think they track the roam from Emil coming in late enough, and they do not respect it. But they didn't have any cooldowns. Cobbin went basically all in, does not have Ignite on the Ahri to be able to burst someone out in time to get that reset. And of course, the champion with 1,000,000 dashes, but only when you can chain the kills together and get those resets. K5 here, even though they did lose the fight, the Jarvan Drake speed is going to be more than respectable enough to get Cobbin for it, but this is Zuik's TP.
And they found the flank angle, really looking in towards Floops, uses the lantern, but not safe at all. Spiky picks up the first one, Nodu-chan gonna drop as well. Emperor's coming in, but there's nothing left to save. Down goes Bash as well. Lionscreed burst their way into the river and get on out with not only 3 kills, but their second pickup of Drake as well.
Yeah, second pickup for Drake for Lionscreed. It's a massive. They win the fight. They get the objective. Great TP in from Zuik. There we go. That would have been fine on the old patch because it was after 14 minutes, but still great impact there. The Jax had Thunderer and he showed up and nothing they could do about it. K5 have the Mythics on board. However, it just wasn't a good fight for them, was it? You're absolutely right. They got pincered and they had nowhere to go except straight back to the spawn.
Cobbin dropping low. We'll be able to get out though. Let's see that one again.
Let's go for it. So we see Flutester kind of honestly caught here. There's no hook for Nodu-chan.
It looks to me
like... Oh, it gets
like
hit with the Nature's Grasp.
There was so much dithering here from K5.
Yeah, indecisiveness.
They don't decide which direction to go. By the time Emperor gets there, it's way too late.
There was almost like too much to process on the screen for K5, and I said about it like for the potential Drake secure for Lionscreed when they had to force K5 to walk into them. When you have to make this many decisions I don't want to say at this level because it sounds like I'm talking down to these very, very good players, but it's like at this level, the macro isn't as tight, the decision making isn't as secure, people aren't as confident because of being burnt in the past. K5 dropped game 1, and that can affect your confidence going into game 2. It was just indecisiveness. You're absolutely right. I think that's fair to say. And Lionscreed, they just were down to send it. Really unfortunate that Flubes got hit with the last little bit of that Nature's Grasp from the Maokai. And then once he's rooted up, Spiky is just able to free hit him. Emil came down on the flank as well. Nice pincer from Lionscreed though. Considering that K5 are what I called the dive comp, Lionscreed pincered there like really, really well. Like core sort of mechanic for team fighting when you play dive comps is getting like war on 2 fronts. Lionscreed did that and beat them at their own game. They had the dive comp funneled and with nowhere to run. That was super cool.
That felt pretty rough, and it's that feeling. You ever have that feeling when you accidentally forget that your opponent has left like 1 and a red up or something, and you get killed by the first strike? It's that situation. Oh, Meal. Heavy commits here to the mid lane. This Lucian is not getting out. That is a lot of ultimates burned though. Cataclysm used, Glacial Prison used, the TP now being committed towards bot side as well to try and stop the Herald play. It will get the charge in. The tower not dropping though. Karolinerna looking for the play in. Nature's Grasp is up. The other TP coming in from Cobbin. This Ahri has to be careful though. Everfrost finds Spiky. They will be able to hit the dive. The Cogmore is already naught but bones, but he is nothing but dust after that one. And Karolinerna continuing to look for the push. Right now, however, look to the top side. Zerix able to pick up first brick while left alone.
Yeah, there was no tower that could be taken from Cobbin because K5 just decides a 5-man bot. Average ADC gameplay experience. Bot meta so important. Just the double TPs being committed onto the bot lane, but it gave K5 the numbers. And now it's what can Lionscreed get back in the cross map? I was thinking, what could K5 get in the cross map after Lionscreed found a pick or 2? They found a tower or 2, but I believe Lionscreed are now going to get the tier 3. Zuix is looking to roam down on the base. I believe Emil is about to destroy this tier 1. There we go, it goes down. So gold lead still in the favor of Lionscreed, but
Cobbin has an ultimate here. Zerix trying to get out. Bash looking for him. Panda is here for support though. Bash dropping very, very low. Looks like he will be okay. And Karolinerna will be able to defuse the situation. Next Drake coming up in just under a minute's time, Jace. It would be soul point for Lionscreed if they get it. What have K5 got to do to disrupt this stacking?
I think they need to disrupt. They need to try and find the angles. As I said, it's a double AD carry comp. You can't let them free hit onto your front line. You definitely cannot let them free hit onto your backline. This has been a bloodthirsty game so far. I think both teams are sort of just looking at their resources, looking at their items, looking at the game state and saying, guys, we can fight this. The gold lead, I don't know how good teams are at estimating gold leads, but it's only like, basically just under 2k. Everyone has got their important items on board for Lionscreed and K5. So if you find that good engage, why not pull the trigger? Absolutely. And as we're seeing the potentially soul fight come up, we have Emil here on the side lane, but he does have TP. Everyone else for Lionscreed, they're looking to just contest this mid push.
K5 are the ones who get into the river first. Are they going to try and chase forward? They do look for Zuko. Ultimate's not being used though. They slink back. Emil, as you say, pushed out bot lane right now. Panda takes some damage. They are going to look to try and get the kill. 3 has been felled. Spiky is putting some hits in. Zerix also dropping the damage down. Nochan dropping very, very low. Karolinerna going to look to reposition here. The Spirit Rush from Cobbin trying to keep him safe, but he will drop. Zerix goes forward. We'll find Fluke. We'll find them completely lacking. The Jax takes down Cobbin as well. Spiky left untouched. It can wander on down this river to look towards the Drake. Bash, however, very healthy still. Nochan alive, but won't be able to do much. They know that the Bash is here though. They just saw the Demacian standard drop. They know that there is the potential of a smite steal. There's no flash though for Bash. If he goes in on this play, there is almost certain that he will not get out.
Yeah, I think he actually has to give. Nash is technically on the map. I don't think the 20-minute Nash is going to come in.
So slowly. Bash going in, looking for the damage. Will be able... No, he does not take the Drake. He was trying to get the damage down onto Spiky, but he is not able to do either. The Baron is not... The Dragon is not secured by Karolinerna. That is now soul point for Lionscreed, and the gold lead jumps up at about 1.5k.
Yeah, great fight for Lionscreed. It was Panda that went first. They got caught, but K5 were just out of buttons from there. Zuich gets in on the flank, and they find it the counter-strike, finding the stun onto... I think it was like a 3-man stun from the Jax after the ward hop. Yeah. Great little play from Zuich there. Off a comfort champion, remember, set absolutely the #1 play for him. Popping off on the Jax here. Lionscreed, though, might have overextended.
And it's very low. He's not going to drop, however. Spiky here now, dropping the living artillery on top of them.
Yeah.
Karolinerna will pull back from this. Baron is up now, so they were trying to kill off Panda, maybe look for a Baron angle themselves, not able to do it.
Yeah, so one thing I do want to point out quickly before we get into the rest of the game straight is that Panda rushing that demonic embrace means that he was really squishy, right? And that's why he got picked off. But now that he's got the Aegis of the Legion, I believe it's called, that item that gives you both armor and magic resist, this is the build path for Radiant Virtue. Don't think I need to particularly go into too much detail about that item. Going to give him more max health when he ults. It's going to make him tankier. This Maokai needs to live. Why? Because he's their form of neutral objectives. We saw Lionscreed play that objective stall really well, to be fair. But with the damage the Lionscreed have on these neutral objectives, if they manage to find a fight where they even like 2-for-1, if they lose one of Emil or Spiky to take down 2 or 3 members of K5, Red Brackish, then as long as Panda and one of those ADCs and the Jax is on the map, their Nash damage is so disgusting. Even at 22 minutes, they are going to shred it. And then when they shred it, I mean, it's just going to transfer into an even nastier siege as well. Let's not get too carried away. K5, they've got buttons, they've got flanks. As I said, they've got dive to get onto these carries and easy ways to trade them out. But I think it all starts with how that jungler can live. As I said, Panda, I mean, you can't do objectives without Smite, guys. It's like really obvious, but just trying to give a little bit more insight into why going the Radiant Virtue second, now that that's completed, it gets even better for Lionscreed here, now that the Nash is online.
Flashbacks to Guma stealing the Baron at Worlds come to mind, but
no, because that's because he had Pioshik. No, that's just Pioshik with his jungler. He had Smite Unbound.
Ah, I see. Gotcha. Anyway, coming up to 23 minutes right now. It is a 3.5k advantage for Lionscreed right now, but that is far from saying Karolinerna are out of the game. Zuko looking for some damage onto Flukes, will be able to get the Dark Passage out of there, and we can see everybody is interested in the Baron right now.
Yeah, it's the objective on the map. Drake doesn't spawn for another 2 minutes. Both junglers now really looking, I think, just for any fight angle or to play Jarvan and Maokai. Like, now that the Maokai is at 2 items, he's effectively full build. I think as strong as the Maokai is going to get. It's just about funneling gold, and Lionscreed, they're just going to start it up.
Pull the trigger.
Bash
is a ways away. Karolinerna need to move quickly. There is a flash on the Jarvan. See the abilities coming through as well. Xerx's going to look to try and be disruptive. Panda stepping out of the pit. Maybe they look to take the fight here. Nature's Grasp coming out. Keep your eyes on Common and Flukes. It's going to be Noda-chan taking most of the damage. Bash goes into the backline. They found Spiky. They take him down. Emil dropping low, but he is able to get Common down also. Emil just will not die. This Lucian gets all the way through and out. Common is the only survivor of the fight. Xerx won't be able to find him, but Lionscreed don't give a damn about that when they can start up the Baron.
Yeah, Emil's going to TP in with full HP as well, just to secure the Nash and keep it on him. There we go. It's double AD carry comp. You get rid of one, they used all their resources onto Spiky, and Emil just cleans up. 3 kills in the fight for the Lucian, 2 at least. It's going to be the Nash secured for Lionscreed.
And it is, and that gold lead bounces all the way up now, up to around 6.5k. Let's look at these items as well. How do you kill Emil right now? Because, okay, yeah, that's an AD Kaiser, but Common, who has gone for the less damaging Everfrost build, is not going to be able to kill him through a Maw.
You can't one-shot him, no. Both of these AD carries have got so much range, so much peel. The Maokai was not available for Lionscreed in their double AD carry comp in game 1, but K5 choose to go to the red side.
All that aside, though, 5 seconds until the next Drake spawns up, Jace. It's the Ocean Soul potential pickup for Lionscreed, and Karolinerna have to fight it while down all this gold, while down the Baron.
Do Lionscreed have to fight it? This is actually the interesting question, and it looks like they just are. It doesn't matter if they want to. They can. I think they can just probably brute force.
They find the angle. Common looking to come in, trying to find Emil. He's not able to do it. He's deleted, and this Lucian can open all the way up. The follow-through is there. Zuko and Xerix are nigh untouchable. The rest of the team can follow in their wake. Emperor is the last one standing, but he is not before Lionscreed. They lose nobody. They take down all of Karolinerna, and they will push in towards the base. They will send Emil as a token gesture to secure the Ocean Soul as well.
It's a disaster as well, right? Because it's 5-for-1. You're going to get inhib in mid lane. You're going to secure the Ocean Soul that you were fighting for. And Zerix is going to go ahead and take away some camps. As well, so K5, they fight for everything and they lose it all. Like a gambler in Vegas eventually always does. Clean fight, Ocean Soul up. It's not an Infernal Soul at least for this double AD carry comp, but also it's an Ocean Soul for a double AD carry comp. So the gold lead now, 10k, 10 kills. We've had more than a kill a minute. Both of these teams bloodthirsty, but now the gold lead has just skyrocketed in the favor of Lionscreed. And I think K5, I just don't think, as I said, they've got two real threats in Flukes and Cobbin. And yet again, Cobbin is just, I think, a little bit too late online to scale. You're right, this Ari build does not do enough damage. And I'm just looking now for Lionscreed, how, where, why can you close out this game to send yourself to series point?
It sounds, to me at least, like gold leads come in threes, Jace. It was 3k, then they got the Baron and it was 6k, then they got that fight and they're at 9k. They found Zerix alone towards the side, but he should not go down that quick. Never mind. Never got around to being able to press Counter-Strike. Very solid CC chain from Karolinerna, and that will blunt the pressure coming out from Lionscreed here. They're currently looking for the bot tower. They would have to fight it as a 4v5, and Baron is just about to tick off as well.
Who did the shutdown go on to actually?
I didn't see it.
Yeah, I was blinked and I missed it. I was looking at the other sides of the map as well. It was a 550 gold shutdown as well, so Zerix gave over quite a bit of gold there over to K5. Still about an 8k gold lead. I don't believe it was. I think it was Emperor, but we missed things. Lionscreed though.
Forward. Damage onto the tier 1 tower here. Lionscreed, they are still 4v5 right now. Emperor has dropped the rest of Karolinerna in a 4v5, are getting obliterated. The TP now coming in from Zerix. It's a rock and a hard place for Flukes and Cobbin. Killer Instinct will get Flukes back to his tower, but once again, it's the carries of Karolinerna with nobody left to protect them. Zerix is looking to go there. He goes golden underneath the tower, will survive. It's all on these carries to make this game continue. Flukes trying to step forwards. Emil drops the damage. It's the living artillery from Spikey that will find him. 5 seconds for Nodochan, 10 seconds for Bash. It's not gonna matter. Cobbin exhausted, locked up under his own nexus. The turrets will fall and the Thresh can do naught but watch us once again. Lionscreed will knock it down in 29 minutes and they will lock their way into a match point scenario.
Clean game from Lionscreed. That's all that can be said. Their draft, meticulous. They had a plan. They executed it. Emil, once again, just so impressive on these marksmen in the mid lane. 10 kills for the Lucian there. And Spikey was the target for K5. And Emil was ultimately the threat in the final nail in the coffin for them. I think that getting those early Drakes, something they did not manage to get last game, just gave them such a safer win condition. They found the fights. And I wondered, because how many times have we seen in NLC a team with a gold lead potentially just make a mistake over force? But what has happened, I think, basically every time I've seen is, yet again, they have the gold lead. One of them gives away a shutdown. They make a little bit of a silly fight. One of them gives away a shutdown. And then on the next fight, even down 4v5 like Lionscreed were, or just 5v5, they kind of just run mid, team wipe them, and end. Lionscreed getting a little bit too over-aggressive. They scale back. They lock in.
and then they go and end the game in 29 minutes. Well played, Lionscreed. You're now on match point. K5, man, they've really been struggling with these AD carry comps. It's just like they can't. They had the comp to get onto the backline, but they then didn't have the damage. I don't want to be too harsh on Coburn, but Coburn in that game was like kind of invisible. The RE didn't do enough for me.
He had a couple of moments, but yeah, when you put him up against Emil's Lucian, they were putting so much to kill him, and they just didn't. He was able to kite back with the flash, with the relentless pursuits, and keep himself just out of reach of the Karolinerna damage dealers. Another fantastic performance from him. We are going to head to another break, but after that, we will see if Karolinerna can begin to claw this series back. It would need to be a reverse sweep for them to have any hope of continuing in this Division 2 playoffs, whereas for Lionscreed, the next round, the next challenge is just around the corner. If they can put K5 in the dirt, do not go anywhere. Game 3 coming right up. Welcome back, everybody, ahead of what could be the final game of Karolinerna in this summer split. Jace, game 1 looked close. Game 2, not quite so much.
I have to unmute my audio. There we go. So hopefully the stream can hear me now. But another prior pick, as I said, Karolina K5 going to red side. It might just be the final game. You are right. But at K5, they've been struggling against these double AD carry comps. I don't know.
Let's come at it from the opposite angle then. So you said about the double AD carry comps. Do they need to just try and hard ban it so that the opponent can't take double carry comps, or change up the mid lane pick to something that's outranges these AD carries? Like, Xerath is pretty good on this patch.
Yeah, I think so. I'm surprised that the Xerath has not come out yet. Maybe Cobbin can't play it, but it's also Xerath. So you take a CC heavy jungler, and it's absolutely something that can come down. And whilst Lionscreed, as we said right at the start, they've yet to pull out the Viego-Lissandra combo that they've been really strong with. But you've just lost 2 games to double AD carry comp. There's really only 2 AD carries on this patch that can go mid. That's Lucian and that's Tristana. You could take both of those away, but then I guess you're wasting 2 bans on mid, but then it also shuts down that strategy entirely. The Cogmore has been a problem, but it's also not been a problem at the same time as well. Like, I think you can just deal with a Cogmore. But for K5, I think they just sort of, maybe they're reactively drafting too much, because they tried to almost play a counter AD carry comp in game 2. They wanted a comp that could get onto the AD carries, and Bash's early game was so good that Jarvan was so in control of that early game. You were right, ganking, top, mid, bot again, bot again, top again, going everywhere. But in the end, like, Emil just ended the game with 10 kills and perma prio and so many plates, and was just so good at really suppressing any impact Cobbin could get.
We'll find ourselves into draft on game number 3. Lionscreed sitting pretty 2-0 up. This game could get them into the next round of the losers bracket. It is one and done for them. They finished the split in 5th place, so no safety net for them. The safety net, Karolinerna, already been lost. You could say that it's perhaps not really a safety net, considering they were playing against an undefeated Venom Crest. But as the draft continues, looking very much the same as we've seen the last 2 drafts.
Yeah, Lionscreed, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Ban the Nico so you don't get cheese danked by a cannon minion or a caster minion or a Gromp just leaving his home.
5-man ulted by a control ward.
Yeah, exactly. The Caps special. But it's literally the same 3 bans for Lionscreed. Don't really know what else to say. Yep. The Tristana has finally been taken away for... Actually, it was banned last game.
Same as in game 2.
Yeah. This is the same draft. Okay, the Ornn slam.
It's the Emperor's Ornn.
Ornn Kindred. Okay, I mean...
Okay.
That's a good response to the double AD carries.
There is a slight concern I have. There he is.
The
we talked about in game 2, the Braum is so good into the Ornn, disabling the Call of the Forge God. And now Lionscreed have their choice of carry option. They could look to taunt Cobbin, Floops rather, by taking away his Draven. Well, let's wait to see what the final choice
Cog
is.
again.
If it ain't broke, Cogmore coming out once again. The response, however, this time we're talking about outranging this double AD carry composition. Seraphine provides great on-range poke, great sustain for your comp as well.
And great disgusting team fight. That Arch Arm is so good. Even if the Call of the Forged God does not manage to connect, what it is going to do is it's going to buy space for Emperor to walk forward, which means Cobbin or Floops most likely is who these picks will be going on to. It means that Seraphine can send the charm through the Ornn and then on to the rest of Lionscreed. It's something different for K5. They're on comfort picks with the Ornn and the Kindred. The Seraphine comes out for AP. I would have loved to see Karthus here, but if they don't play it, they don't play it. Seraphine equally, I think, is fine. Leandri's builder, nonetheless. You get a little bit more supportive as well. So if the Seraphine goes down in the early game, they're not as out of it as Karthus would be. Karthus needs a lot of gold to function. Seraphine definitely does not. Final bans here. The Milio coming out. Sorry,
That's
taken away from Lionscreed. I think that's interesting considering... there is still potential for an AD carry, right? Because you could play Seraphine Kindred as your mid jungle. Okay.
Yes, this is. I'm expecting this to be more of a Seraphine in the mid lane.
Do not
we'll
pick
look
Bard.
to see what the
Do not pick
lock in
Brand.
here.
No. Okay.
Bard it is.
Okay.
We have a Bard. Game 3, Karolinerna's lives on the line, and they are going to put Nodu-chan onto a Bard.
I'm going to say let him cook. Unfortunately, the only Bard experience I've seen in organized play was Beryl's Game 5 at Worlds. They did win that game, but it was no thanks to Beryl at all. So you've left Lucian open again. You've left the same comp open again for Lionscreed, but this time you've drafted something different into it. Right, so what does this Bard, what does it give you? It gives you roam potential, right? You're going to let Spikies stay. It's Lionscreed are playing the exact same comp. Okay. But
wait and see. Give them a second to cook. They
I
may
thought it-
opt out of the Jax.
I thought it was locked in,
But
actually.
it has now been locked in. Okay, so
Okay.
identical comp. Lionscreed saying, if it is not broke, do not fix it. What now?
You have
And
to
just
answer us.
Throw down the challenge.
Cassiopeia. We could see the
Now,
Seraphine bot.
we've got the AD carry in Kindred. So the potential here is there. We'll see if Karolinerna want to go for that one. It could end up having Nodu-chan doing that roaming between mid and bot lane, perhaps keeping, you leave Cobbin alone. Or, sorry, you have Bard to help Cobbin scale up on the Cassiopeia, with Floops just
Or it's
chilling,
Bard mid.
getting what farm he can,
Yeah.
scaling up a little bit on that Seraphine to being useful and getting those big encores you were talking about in team fights.
Yeah, absolutely. It is just about the encore. The Tempered Fate is technically an infinite value ultimate, but it's also a anti-infinity
Infinite
value.
self-sabotage.
Yeah, like Nodu-chan could just be griefing his own team, or he could just land the perfect Tempered Fate onto either of the AD carries. They blow up one, and then the other one goes down. Because what happened, to be fair, and why the Bard pick has potential at least, is when K5 tried to go on Spiky in the crucial team fight, it was Emil that was doing all the damage. If you force him into stasis, you put him in a stopwatch in a timeout, then he can't do that. You've got a small window of opportunity. K5 are looking to generate a pick and then go from there. When you're down in team fights, the best way to get into it is try and trade back fast as possible. The Lionscreed were so strong in that last game, they could take fights 4v5 and still win. I like the Cassio. I think the
Miasma's going to be huge.
Yeah, I believe. What does the miasma block? So it'll block the
All dashes. So Brawl
Brawl
W
dash?
gone. Lucian E gone. Jax jump gone.
Gone.
Now
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it stops the twisted advance because I believe that's more of a delayed teleport
It's
from the Maokai.
Yeah, I believe
But
so.
all the same being said,
You
it's
go on
still going to
target
have
score,
a
right?
good amount of value. And just like that, Chase, we find ourselves inbound to Summoner's Rift for our third and possibly final game of the evening. Lionscreed staring down the barrel of a second 0-3 series. They've pulled out some spice, bashed onto his Kindred, Cobbin onto a Cassiopeia, 5 members pushing down the top lane.
5 members indeed. They're playing for top play in this game. Emperor will carry full crit on.
Oh, the magical journey!
Wait, this is like potentially genius. Zurich could just be dead, like right here, right now. Probably not, because I'd imagine he's not
He's
flashing
fishing.
or jump.
He's fishing. He just got 1 gold. That man is fishing.
Some interesting
Is
rotations
he going to be
coming
caught
out.
fishing though?
Never interrupt a man in his fish.
Um,
Okay, Zurich is alive.
I mean, Karolinerna now gets spotted out.
I mean, Nodi-chan doesn't have the stun, right? Because you started portal level 1.
Yeah.
They get vision at least. Now they get to push Panda off. But, okay, here's the issue with this play. In my mind, K5, by doing this, could... I guess they've opted against it, but they could have had the potential to split the map topside. Unfortunately, you're splitting map topside to then force Panda to go vertical jungling bot side. But your top side is an Ornn. So by initiating the vertical jungling, you're effectively playing for the side that you're jungling in. But that would mean that K5 have split the map vertically for their Ornn, which like makes 0 sense. But Panda, Lionscreed Co, they just go for the invade and get out. So vertical jungling has been initiated. And I think that's... They must know something I don't, Brackish. They must know something I don't. Because like that top invade like made no sense, I'll be honest.
Yeah, it looked great. And then they put down a couple of wards and got nothing else done with it.
Yeah.
And
Nodi-chan is just a bard with remember, this bard started started portal level 1, so very, very weak. Cobbin, though, this has to be a big game for him. Brackish has struggled in the first 2 games. I think he's on a good pick here. Should get a lot of jungle attention, should get a lot of support and top attention.
Exhaust onto Floops, stun has landed. One more auto and Spiky, just like that, finds first blood once again.
It's a disaster restart for K5. The top lane play, they couldn't find anything. Stacking wave going in. Emperor is on Ornn. Bash is on a carry jungler now looking about these picks, but counter-striking the top lane. And it...
Flash was used by Emperor. Mercifully, Floops, after dying, did have TP, as these AP bot laners often are wont to pick up. And now Bash forced
always
into
use a
vertical
counter-strike.
jungling. The counter-strike does come in. Like Xerax has to flash for this kill, and then will die to the tower. So Bash doesn't get the kill off it at least. But that is gold traded across. A little bit of CS will be lost by Emperor to the tower.
Yeah.
So overall, I think that's worth it for Xerax.
I actually wonder if Emperor could have saved TP and just given this entire wave to Bash, considering he's on Kindred. It's before 14 minutes, but like the amount of gold and XP that Bash would have been able to get, this was such a big wave that Emperor has now soaked, to be fair. But I just wonder, that might have been a min micro thing, and I think just denying your top laner golden resources probably not the best anyway. As I say that, Nodi-chan is on the robot.
The coin lands tails.
Yeah, unlucky.
The first mark on the bot side scuttle will not be secured by Bash. We all know Kindred, not really a proper champion until she hits 4 marks.
Yeah.
Not really fully online until she hits 8.
And it's a scaling champion, but the thing about Kindred is you need to get those marks to scale. It has to be secured. It's not guaranteed scaling, almost like Jax levels or KO levels, Cassidy levels. There is an almost like guaranteed part about that scaling. It's about Kindred's marks. It does allow you to be aggressive. Kindred can be an invading and way more carnivorous jungler.
Oh, Zuko
But
has got flash available. Bash is putting some damage in, but the Unbreakable does so much work. They end up not doing anything to this Braum.
Bash is just going to step out here, 17 CS. It was a full clear for the Maokai. He's now on his 2nd rotation. So Bash's camps have been a little bit desynced. Only the Wolves left before, I believe, the Krugs or the Raptors. Oh, actually, yeah, the Raptors are up, just hidden by the ward there. But, I mean, Bash wants to be hitting camps as much as possible, right? Like, this is a scaling jungler. It's a gold-needing jungler. Like, the influx of economy is important for the Kindred here, for K5. But unfortunately, this is the matchup, right? Ganking jungler versus farming sort of jungler. You can invade, which is good, because whilst Panda is going to be potentially camping bot side, camping top, there's a potential for cross map for Bash to invade and just take 3 camps away. That has to come out. To say that though, Emperor finally got his own and looking pretty good in the top lane. Like, he has potential to solo till Zurich here at 6.
Yeah, he is going to be able to get the recall off. Has TP in pocket as well, so This is more going to be Xerax gets forced to TP. He TPs back, which will force Emperor to have to take a recall. No TP in pocket for the Ornn. Now, things settle down a little bit. 1 kill onto the Ornn, 1 kill onto the Jax, 1 onto the Kog'Maw. Again, it's Lionscreed who have a slight tempo advantage, but right now they're not leveraging it particularly.
Definitely not. And something quickly interesting to point out is I Deadass learned this very recently, thanks to the Baus guide of all things. The level 6 to level 7 respawn timers on these top laners is, I believe the time increase is very significant, up until the point where once they hit level 7, there's real potential for either of these laners to take plates once one of them dies. So now, more than ever, after level 6, both of them have got ultimates, great ultimates for the fight. Pandas in particular, once both of these junglers hit 6, once Emperor and Zerix both hit level 7, there's potential for a gank, but
look for it, but the Petrifying Gaze doesn't do much at all. Emil looking for the angle forwards, culling onto Cobbin, drops so very low. Panda flashes forward, will find the twisted advance, and now Bash is in a lot of trouble. Noda-chan gonna come to try and help. Kindred is going to be forced to flash. Noda-chan now here to try and help, but here's Zuko. And the stun will land from Emil, drop very low, kill will not come through again. Lionscreed just that tiny bit up on the tempo, that tiny bit faster to respond.
Yeah, I mean, new page, same book, right? Like, once again, Emil is on the Lucian. Great gank from Panda on the Maokai. Maokai Lucian, 2 games out of 2. They find the kill on to the mid lane. A flash was committed, of course, but Cobbin now gonna have to be walking back, losing wave, kill onto Emil, massive CS lead for the Lucian. Early gold advantage again for Lionscreed. And I think ultimately what this means is that the oncoming Herald in 30 seconds or so is going to be in a very strong position for Lionscreed. Remember, gold is needed for, well, both of these teams, but in particular for the double AD carries. Lionscreed have this mid to play through. They have Emil to funnel gold into. They know they can trust him with it because he will carry as he did last game. And they've got a good position to essentially replicate their exact game plan from that last game right here.
Wow.
K5 need the Drake though. They can't just lose it for free. That was, I think, the one mistake from last game. K5 dropped Drakes for free, and they dropped First Herald as well. So K5 got to look to cross map here.
Right now, Bash picking up his blue buff. Panda is here and available. It looks like it's going to be Panda and Emil starting this one up. And Kindred cannot walk into a situation like that instead. In fact, Panda looking, will spot out Bash here. It looked for a second like Lionscreed might go for a dive onto Floops.
Maybe. I thought Panda was potentially going to look for jungle vision and invade as well. Bash is here, has been hit by the sapling, so he's been slowed and chunked a little bit. Here we go, Nature's Grasp down.
Coming out. Bash gets caught, Noda-chan gets found, the Encore will only hit onto Emil, the Drake is still getting taken down, Bash is too low to contest, and Karolinerna slink away. They have to give up the Drake, and they get absolutely nothing for it.
This might just be a nice flash from Emperor. This might just have to be the, essentially the tail of the time here for K5 in this early game. I look at this comp now for K5, now that I can almost fully see it. Man, they cannot fight early at all. Seraphine doesn't do enough damage. Cobbin will do damage, but very slowly over time. Brash needs marks. Emperor is going to need those ornaments. I think it's going to be about the team fights for K5. Their team comp, very heavy scaling, but Lionscreed, as you said, their comp scale is completely fine too. And because of the double AD carries, they're going to be taking some good early game control as well. I mean, Panda in team fights, getting so much value in these 2 games on the Maokai. K5, I just wonder when it is, at what point are they strong enough to be able to contest Lionscreed in a team fight or over an objective?
It's got to be, I think, around 2 items on Cobbin specifically is when it comes into focus a little bit for me. 3 is when Cobbin can really start opening up. You see Karolinerna, they're not just rolling over, they are behind a little bit, but they will be the ones who look for the Rift Herald. They'll be able to secure that for themselves, get themselves a couple of plates, hopefully onto Cobbin. We're seeing him stacking up the tier right now. That's very important that we see Seraphs completed relatively expediently.
Yes, it needs to be online as fast as possible. So K5 get the cross map here, and I talked about just the when do they contest them. If they can't contest, I think they have to cross map. That's what they did. They did unfortunately lose a plate in mid for Emil, so they're there is essentially a 175 gold drop there, 175 for the plate, 300 that comes down just for securing the Herald. But again, Brash has it secured, and now the potential to take even more gold, a plate or two, once Shelly is dropped. And I wonder where it goes. It pretty much can't go top. It should never go top. It may go mid, but I think bot lane, if they can get solo gold onto Flute or share the gold between this Seraphine and this Kindred, it's going to be a great way for them to get back into it. Plate's only going to be up for another 3 minutes or so, so Bash doesn't have to rush. They can't exactly take their time as well.
To his credit, Floops is only about 500 gold behind Spiky, who is 101 right now. Has been doing very well at farming, staying relatively safe. Only took that one death earlier in the game. And besides that, it's Emil in this mid lane, this Lucian. 800 or so gold up onto Cobbin. Right now, we do see the completion of the Rod of Ages. So that is one of the big scaling points hit. Flukes, however, not in a good spot. Flaps to try and get to the magical journey. Not going to be able to make it. No-Chan will escape through there. But Emil is here. There is a culling available as well. And this Bard is not going to make it out. Zerwix feeling pretty good about himself. Going to try and find the angle onto Emperor, but Bash is here looking for the damage. Is there a counter-strike available? There is not. And Bash able to secure his own first kill of the game. They get something on the cross map.
They do get something on the cross map. They're going to probably, I don't know if they're going to drop the Herald.
Tower, maybe.
Going to try and take plates as well. As I talked about it, after level 7, the death time are big. Zewix does have TP, but there's enough time for them to drop the Herald. They are going to commit it. So, Emperor getting the gold, I don't think it's ideal, but Zewix is going to get, Bash is
oh no,
Floops. Wait,
You
Floops.
just come back to bot lane. My man, okay. Oh, Zuko has the stopwatch, is able to survive. No-Chan comes in, trying to salvage something from this play, and now Cobbin will be forced to burn the TP. Panda does not have flash, is going to be in a bit of a rough spot, but now Emil is coming. No-Chan drops Panda, looking to serve up Cobbin on a golden platter to his team. K5 not able to find anything, and Lionscreed able to bail out not just their support, but their jungler as well.
Oh, Panda has just been running this game on the Maokai. The tree has been everywhere. Wise and mystical is the plant. Blessed by the Shadow Isles. Panda's been everywhere. Panda and Emil, we've talked about them being able to run lobbies as a mid-jungle duo. They found it again here. Lysandra Viego, Maokai Lucian's going to be one to look out for.
Zerwix looking for the dive, will find it. Bash is not that healthy though. Looking for this damage down.
Oh my god, the damage.
Zerwix. There is the Lamb's Respite. It's going to be whether or not Zerwix can land that one hit. Will be able to do it, and he gets out as well. Zerwix finds both of them, breaks ankles in the top lane.
Thunder Jax as well. Just being able to get his cooldowns back. Maybe Bash could have gone 1-for-1 there. I don't know if the Lamb's Respite was a mistake, but hey, hindsight is 2020. Thunder Jax now going to be accelerating towards probably Black Cleaver or Bork if they need it as well. Zewix is fed. Panda is fed. Emil is fed. Spiky is fed. Lionscreed have got a Drake. The Herald went top and gave gold onto Emperor, and Bash managed to have to split that with his own. It's not ideal right now for Lionscreed. I think you can sorry for K5, I think you can say Lionscreed looking for this second Drake. K5.
They are looking for this Drake. Karolinerna have sent everybody towards this bot side, though. Zerwix is currently missing. Zuko able to tank up most of the damage here. Panda goes golden. Call the Forge God coming through. Zuko is not able to block it, but here comes Zerwix looking for the fight in. Floops has been caught out. 3-man stun from Zerwix. No-Chan gets out. Cobbin is going to flee through the magical journey as well, but Bash is got nowhere to go. The chase down is still coming. Cobbin and No-Chan will eventually be able to get out, but they walk in again to a fight, and they get pincered by a solo Jax.
It's just a flank from Jax. You can't really front to back when you play this champ, but the way that Zewix has been playing these team fights on Jax is just a reflection of how some of the, honestly, like the LPL and the LCK Jaxes play these fights. They go for the flank, they look to hop onto the backline with that stun, and from there, they just get so much damage down with their ultimate, with the split damage. Remember, magic damage coming from his abilities, and I believe from every third auto on the Jax as well, or at least with one of his abilities to give him magic damage on auto. So much split damage. This Jax is now 5-2. Picked up a double kill in that fight. Spikey got one as well for good measure. They get the second Drake. It's a mounting soul. It means the low damage comp of K5 currently does even less damage. We're going to see Ocean Soul. So 2, potentially 3 almost resistance defensive dragons available to be secured for Lionscreed is not good for K5's comp.
And a brief look at Bash on your screen there. Currently at 2 of the 4 marks they need to get that range to really be a factor in this game. Got a mark set onto Panda, but I mean, he's 207 right now. This tree is not fallen.
No, this tree is yet to go down. And whilst they are 50% of the way there, Brackish, look at...
That's 50% of the way not there.
Yes, look at Floops and Nodu-chan, though. Bot laner 07. It might just be 07 for K5 in this game, unfortunately. I'm not going to call it too early because there's always throw potential. This comp does scale. The front to back is great. But you're right, the Braum pick again, I think getting so much value. The Call of the Forged God into the Encore went wide. That was the angle for K5, but they just didn't manage to execute it. Now we're going to see second Herald been secured already for Lionscreed. Mythic's online.
Spiky gets found here. Tempered Fate. They're looking for the angle in. The stun will land. A TP coming out from both top laners. Xerix will join the play. Immediately needs to run. Emperor is here as well. There comes the Unbreakable from Zuko, but it actually completely misses. The disengage is still good.
The TP!
There is the magical journey. Xerix is looking for the way in. There is the TP angle from Emil as well. Xerix eventually goes down. Karolinerna now need to retreat. They're going to try and find Zuko in the way. Emil, however, has opened up. It's all about running now. Panda will find Nodu-chan. Zuko feeling confident enough to step forwards. Emil so big right now. 204 Floops. He's going to put some damage into him, trying to teach him some respect. He's got none at all, though. Zuko still looking. Panda here as well. Flap is forward with one Bramble Smash. He will rip them apart. Triple kill for the Maokai. Cobbin is on the run, trying to slither away. Will be able to just about escape. But Lionscreed run K5 off the map.
That might be it. They might have just ran them out of the NLC as well. Lionscreed. Such a great punish from Emil and Panda. They managed to get the pick. They got the shutdown onto Spikey. They got the shutdown onto Zerix. 2 shutdowns over. Massive influx of gold for them. The remaining 4 members from K5. As K5 tried to run for the hills, they were just caught. The Nature's Grasp again from Panda was so good. It just bought enough time for Emil to TP in, and he was so strong with Panda frontlining for him. Man, their damage was disgusting. I know Panda got the triple kill in that fight, maybe even a quadra.
607 on the Maokai.
Yeah. And you can go AP here, like you can build into like a Ralli's Crystal Scepter if you want. Probably doesn't need to though. The Demonic Embrace damage so good. No Dark Seal at least for K5, otherwise that could have been an early Magi potentially for
another mark for Bash.
The Maokai. Another mark for Bash. He's now 3 out of 4, I believe. Don't think he managed to get one.
Yeah. He's still only at 3.
Yeah.
Which is... This is starting to look really rough. 1 minute on the next Drake. Lionscreed are head and shoulders above. Look at Bash. 1, 3, and 2. Has the Triforce, but is nowhere near a second item. Panda already at 2 items. Has a little bit of change in there as well. Is over a K up. Thankfully, Karolinerna are the team that currently have priority towards mid lane and a massive amount of vision in the river. In fact, none at all for the side of Lionscreed.
0.
They may opt to just give this Drake up because I feel like stepping into the river is too risky right now.
I think so. K5 are trapping. Where did this Herald go, actually? I believe the Herald spawned. Not quite sure.
Walking down
there we go.
bot
It's in bot lane. So Zerix is just gonna push that lane and run. Now this Jax could once again find a flank angle. And I think K5, they're going to have to respond to the Rift Herald. They're going to have to respond to the wave in top. which means
Lionscreed, they're threatening for Baron here. They don't even look to go towards the Drake. They have already gone over the wall. They have started it up. And this time, look at Karolinerna's complete lack of vision here. They are rushing forwards. Bash will force Zuko out over the wall, but the Baron is dropping. 4,000 health, lower and lower. Nature's Grasp did find Bash. There is a flash available, but in the meantime, Emil has taken out Nodu-chan. The bait was successful, and they can turn straight on back to the Baron.
Yeah, I mean, the board is just so squishy, right? They tried to walk up to do anything, to do something, and Emil just two-tapped them off screen. Like a death from
Bash can't do anything either. Zuko zoning him all the way off. The Encore comes forward, but the Unbreakable will stop it instantly. Lamb's Respite has dropped, but Floops has dropped. Emil going over the wall will take that one down as well. And in the meantime, Zewix taking his shiny new Baron to break open the bot lane.
550 gold, more gold in the back pocket of the Jax. The Cleaver once again online, big power spike for the ability haste on the Jax, which means more jumps, more cooldowns, more stuns, and more damage. And the Black Cleaver as well to chew through the Ornn damage. This Jax will stack it so quickly. Drake goes over.
They had so much vision, Jace.
Yeah. They can't fight them though, can they, right? They can't fight them.
The bottom river was completely lit up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In a situation like this, maybe you just see the Baron. Get yourself a Drake. Get yourself a permanent buff.
I think you have to. I think you have to.
That Ocean Soul could have been great, but instead, they look to contest the Baron. They are unable to do so. They give up most of their lives and then have to give up the Drake as well, which means in 5 minutes' time, they're fighting against a soul point.
I think K5 are just being really pulled around the map right now. It is that indecision that we talked about in Game 2 coming back to bite them yet again. I don't want to quite say the K5 comp lives or dies by the 5v5, but they've been very willing to stack and do so. Unfortunately, they got so almost sucked in by the Baron, they completely forgot that if we lose that fight, we lose Drake as well. I think it is just a little bit of poor macro from K5. I think when you're down in this, you have to kind of turtle. You have to give what they give you. And Lionscreed were happy to trade the third Drake for 20-minute Nash. Why? Because it doesn't really matter that K5 get first Drake, but like if you're K5, you can't let them get third Drake. So whilst Lionscreed are happy to give up that Drake, you should also be very happy to secure it, because then it means it's another 4 minutes of scaling, more time for Kindred to get marked. Shutdowns potentially could come in. You've got more chances to hit your rotation of ultimates to find a pick. You can fight when Lamb's Respite is off cooldown. Instead, like Zewix is just on the side lane hitting your inhib turret.
Yeah, this is a situation. Karolinerna want to be stacked up, but right now, this Jax is so huge that he can sit on a side lane. He's got a stopwatch. He's building in towards the Zhonya's just to make it that much harder for you to kill him. And they have to respond. They have to split up this team composition to deal with Zerix. They have to send Emperor, who is probably the only one who can realistically survive Zerix on his own at this point, which means there's no Call the Forge God, there's no massive Ornn ultimate to set up these fights that K5 won.
And these Lionscreed, these carries of Emil and Spikey have been so good all series, but I would like to almost finally give credit. I would almost like to finally give credit to Zuko, and Panda is very, very deservingly taking the plaudits for this game. This Maokai has completely trolled it. But I think Zuko has also just had a really solid series. Played Braum all 3 games and just controlled it. Look at that damage onto Emperor.
Has dropped. Call of the Forge God completely denied. Cobbin trying to get out through the magical journey. But Zerix is waiting at the other side. It is doom. It is gloom. Now for wrath and ruin. Lionscreed step forwards. Bash will come out of the Lamb's Respite and find only slaughter. Emil picks up the final kill. GG. And just like that, Lionscreed are in the base. They have but 2 towers, 2 Nexus towers before them. It's 10 seconds for Emperor, and it looks like it's going to be the series chase.
Clean fight for Lionscreed. It's a full 8-5 for 0. Nodu-chan is out of there. K5 are out of there. The Nexus falls. Lionscreed, even quicker than last time. 25-4, 51k gold at 24 minutes. 3 Drakes, 1 Baron. 1 fight is all that they need. And unfortunately, we're going to be saying goodbye to K5, but Lionscreed, impressive 3-0, and they stay alive in the NLC playoffs. Well played to Lionscreed. What more can I say? Really, really good series from them.
fantastically played. And as you said, they scaled up throughout the series. Game 1, super close. Game 2, they seem to have sort of dialed in how K5 are wanting to execute things. They stuck with that double AD carry comp as we saw them do 3 games back to back to back.
Yeah.
And then game 3, they mastered the art form. They dragged K5 over the map.
They absolutely did. They pulled them everywhere. And it can be just so like disheartening, and in terms of like psychologically it can be really hard to recover and focus, because like Panda was 6 kills, Spikey found a 3-man stun on your backline in a Drake fight, Emil managed to TP in and clean all of your team up. Spikey didn't do much, but like he's a cog more. So if that game would have gone another 5 minutes, Spikey could have just pentakilled. Insurance policy, cog more. The early game is not about that little Akarthian voidling. It is definitely all about the wise mystical tree from the Shadow Isles. Panda is my player of the game for that one. My player of the series, I'm still going to give it to Emil. I think once again, so impressive. But that Lionscreed mid-jungle, they've got real pieces around them now. Big series for Zuix. Played Jax for 2 games and was just so good on this Jax. Played it.
With that being said, Jace,
did his role and more.
Oh, yeah. That being said, let's have another look at that bracket coming through these playoffs. With that, we do say goodbye to Karolinerna, 2 valiantly fought series, but again, they dropped. Lionscreed advance to the second round of the losers bracket, awaiting next week's game, Thursday the 17th, Lundqvist Lightside up against Blue Whites, 2nd seed versus 6th. However, Blue Whites possibly feeling a little more confident after Lightside's loss to Munster Rugby Gaming.
Yeah, getting taken out into the, I believe in the lower bracket, right? So,
Yep.
I mean, being the 2nd seed, knocked down into the lower bracket, one or two ways you're gonna get completely slapped in a demonic response from the 2nd seed as they try and have to run through the lower bracket, or the wheels have fallen off. It's not their patch, and you can once again get an upset. Momentum is big. Confidence might be down. It's going to need a big investment of character and a lot of meticulous game planning for that number 2 seed to respond. But that's for the future, and we got to live in the present for now as we say goodbye to K5. Brackish, any final thoughts before we wrap up the stream?
Oh, well, we've got an interview incoming, by the way.
Oh, we do?
With
Nice.
Emil. Oh, yes.
Dope.
We are not done. And I got a question for you, Jace.
Yes.
We had Emperor on his own there in game 3. We know it. That was his 14th game of the split. Sadly, not quite enough to make it happen. But on items. How are you with on item names?
I know Syzygy. I know in terms of the names of items.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I know. So Syzygy is Eclipse. I know that it's like one of them is called the Parasite for Jack Show.
The unspoken parasite.
Yeah.
Now, I won't make you rattle them all off. But we were speaking about Lundqvist Lightside before, and for those of you who've been watching the streams, they've been content machines this split. They have been putting out videos that we've been putting out before the NLC streams. This week, this stream, I decided, you know what? We're going to wait for Emperor to pull out the Ornn, and fortuitously, he did. Play along at home. Lundqvist Lightside as a nice little content piece while we wait for that interview with Emil. They go over some Ornn items. Enjoy. We'll be back with that interview very soon.
You're now going to guess the Ornn item names. You're going to pair up the names to the image.
Wow, that's insane.
Yes.
Okay, I can do that.
Yeah, I'll help you. So there's 12 of them. There's 12 images.
Okay.
There are 13 names.
I mean, this is here. I know this one goes.
And of course you can change your mind later.
I mean, I put them above here. Best Ride, never heard of. Infinite Convergence, not heard of either. Leviathan. Starcaster, oh my god.
This is the upgraded names.
Oh, sheesh. GG, by the way. Decide, there's an item, decide?
Yes.
Well, I'm gonna go with GG. I mean, some of them I know, but I feel like a lot of these I don't know, you know?
Yeah.
Syzygy is
There's some new items in there as well.
That's Eclipse for sure.
Unspoken Parasite. Like, what? Who has named this?
It was me actually. I reached out to Riot, like, yo, can I name them?
Nah, I'm not surprised. Maybe. I'll see about that. Maybe. Who names it Flicker? The side. Who named an item the side?
It is 1 point per guess.
Yes, 1 point per guess.
Okay. Infinite Conventions. That one is speaking to me. I don't know. I have to put it somewhere. And let me take a look at the items. Oh, I think it's.
Wait, it's actually hard. What?
Yeah.
Leviathan. That's the Leviathan. Unspoken Parasite. Infinite Convergence. Like, I'm pretty sure this is right. Wait. I'm pretty sure I've seen this. Seething Sorrow here. Or Night Harvester. It should be this, actually.
Flicker. I mean, yeah, they all exist. I mean, just because of the. I'm pretty sure Sisiki is for this one. Like, that's no, how's it called?
The Eclipse?
Eclipse. But I'm not entirely sure. I'm pretty sure this is Primordial Dawn, but I'm not entirely sure. Or Seething Sorrow. What the?
Kafia's Curse. I'm not entirely sure, but I think it's Namor.
I mean, if something, this goes like here or here.
I think I'm gonna live with B, even though it's wrong for all of them, most of them.
This is Kraken. Who names an item the Unspoken Parasite? But that's probably the Omnivamp stuff.
This was a lot harder than expected. There's an actual item named the site.
Yep.
You just decide on something. Like, why isn't it Dayside? That would make more sense because it would be God Killer.
And that one makes no sense, so I will put it for the assassin item because assassin players, I guess.
I think. I've seen it somewhere.
Oh, isn't this like actually this? Or and then this here. And then I'll just guess this. Like, this is probably my guess.
I'll go here, and I'll go Primordial Dawn on Heartsteel, and I'll go Dream Shatter on that, and Seething Sorrow there.
Yeah.
That's
You're done?
I'm gonna...
Are you happy with this?
Yeah.
I'll say this.
Okay, are you done?
Yeah, I'm actually pretty happy with these ones. I think I'm not gonna say Smurf because that's, cursing myself, but I think I did okay.
Yeah, that's my best guess.
Okay, I will put that and I will let on the side Infinite Convergence. Please. Tell me I don't have
Are you fine
0.
with that?
Yeah.
There.
Are you happy with that? No.
It's not that? Okay.
No. You have 1 correct.
Ah, I'm so bad. Okay, it's that one.
No.
Well, I can't.
Which one do you think it is?
Nah, but I won't find. It's not that or that. That one.
No.
Nah, but that one.
No. No. No.
That one.
No.
Nah, but Starcaster.
No.
This side.
Yes.
Okay.
The final one. Unfortunately, you got 0 correct.
For real?
Yeah.
Welcome back, everybody. We totally weren't talking about Orn items because I couldn't remember which one Wormfall and Sacrifice used to be. Brackish Brit here, Jace here once again, and we are joined by our player of the series, Emil. Welcome, welcome. Gotta feel good, obviously, 3-0 in that series. And, well, you kind of popped off in the mid.
Yeah, that was the plan going into it as well. I know our whole team has been waiting for playoffs to start. A regular season was tough, but best of ones are always, they're always a bit flippy to a degree. Someone could pull out some cheesy stuff. You could have one bad game and then it's just over like that. So I think all of us look forward to playoffs, to play some best of fives. It's a lot more fun to create your own little meta when you're playing. We went into game one thinking, we got a plan. We'll see how it works. And if it keeps working, well, we just won't fix it. We'll just keep playing the same stuff until they do something else.
Yeah, you guys looked very comfortable on the double AD carry composition. Do you think that is something that is just like the way to play the game at the moment? How it works with your team? Like, without obviously, you don't have to reveal all the plans, don't worry. But what happened to arrive to the decision where we're going to try and just slam double AD carry comp as much as possible?
I think so. Obviously, having damage source from bot lane is always really good, but with how weak most mages are at the moment, unless it's like Azir or Seraph, who are both quite strong characters like Cassio and Victor and Syndra to a degree, and Ari, they kind of fell out of meta a little bit. And if you look at how the mid meta shapes up, like AD mids are complete dominating right now. I think with Jace, Tristana, Lucian all being really good. Lucian is quite new into the meta again, but he used to be really good mid as well, and people picking him up again now. He feels really good. So I think sadly mid lane is just the new ADC role. So I'm just practicing all the AD carries and so there you have it. Yeah. And then funny enough, mages are better bot lane.
Yeah, like Karthus and stuff.
6 Karthus Seraph.
Yeah.
It's great.
So I need to ask, because I joked about this and I'm a Ziggs appreciator. We know that Spikey's a big Heimer player. Does he play Ziggs as well?
We play everything. We even flex the 6 as well. You never know what we're gonna play. We can play all of it. We play whatever will win us.
Enemies beware. They do it all.
We will play whatever wins us the game. So if 6 wins us the game, then we might lock it in.
Sounds good. One avenue that you guys do have to consistently win the game is you and Panda as like the mid jungle duo. Talk to me about what it's like with that jungler, because man, you guys seem like almost the core of your team. It feels like everything that happens is around you and Panda. And if it's not, the 10 kill Lucian game, it's like the 6 kill Maokai game. If it's not Maokai Lucian, it's Lissandra Viego. So talk to me about, was that like the start of the process for Lionscreed, like the start of the victory almost, the core of your team? Or how important do you think that mid jungle 2v2 is to the rest of your team and your whole identity?
I mean, I think in current League of Legends, I think mid lane is extremely important. Like, you usually go through mid lane whenever you want to do something. You want to have mid push, you want to have priority, you want to make sure you can move from mid, because if you can keep the enemy mid under their turret, you will be playing a 4v3 game the whole time, unless they burn TP or something, right? So I think mid jungle for sure dictates a lot of early plays. I think jungle especially has a lot of impact in the early game. Like, if you have a carry jungler as an example, your laners are playing for the jungler. If the jungler wants to invade, then it's all about having lanes with push and such. So yeah, I really like working with Panda. He's really good. And the beauty of it is that he can play both styles of the jungle. Obviously, supportive junglers as Maokai and Sejuani and Jarvan are all really strong in their meta right now. But if we ever find an angle, we could easily pull out a Grace or a Kha'Zix if it matters. And I can play a bunch of things to help him from mid lane as well. So I think it's really good right now.
Yeah, saw you on the Lissandra in the regular season as well.
So, Emil, looking forwards. You continue. The playoffs are not over for you. Likely facing against Lungfist Lightside or Blue Whites in the next round. How is the atmosphere in the team from your various homes? How confident are you feeling? Obviously, Lightside been shown to bleed against MRG.
I mean, we really want to play against Lightside. It is unbelievable because Soft, our coach, me and our manager Robin all played for fourth wall in last split, and we lost to Lightside 3-2. in the semifinals onwards
For
towards the
vengeance
finals.
arc.
So we for sure want to beat them. Also, our AD carry Spike was the ADC for Lightside in last split. So obviously he wants to prove to them that he made the right call to move to Lionscreed instead. But yeah, we're very much looking forward to watching Blue Whites and Lightside play. It should be a very fun game. We don't really like. Obviously, we wouldn't mind playing versus Blue Whites as well. If you look at the championship points, we would very much like Lightside to lose, so that there's a chance that we can actually go to promotion.
Yeah.
But
The number
we
of
will.
scenarios the number of scenarios, I think, if I recall correctly, there's like 9 of the possible 200 and something scenarios in which Lightside does not make the promotion tournament. So
Yeah.
you, MRG, of course, both very much hoping for Lightside to take an early tumble out of this tournament. Any thoughts, any shout outs from you, Emil, before we let you go? Obviously, once again, MVP of the series. Congrats for that.
Thank you. I would very much like to put a big thank you out to the viewer party that's going on at New Meta in London right now. I hope everyone had a fun time, enjoyed watching the games.
London esports.
I don't know if they turned the stream off or not, but I hope it's still on so to see it. But big shout out to my team, of course. They all came to play today. I think that was really good. And our coach off doing a good job. And management and everyone within the Lionscreed community really playing or actually managing well at the moment. So just a big shout out to all those guys.
Lionscreed have a decent base in London, I think. So shout out everyone still paying attention to the stream.
Thank you so much, Emil, for coming for this interview. We're going to let you go, but again, thanks again, and good luck, obviously, in your next match, second round of the losers bracket. We will see you then.
Thank you. See you then, man. I'll dip out. Peace.
Ciao. See you later. Well, there we
go.
Jace.
Yeah.
That was Emil. That was Emil. That was a series. Yep. Clean 3-0. The games got shorter and shorter as we progressed. And I'm about ready to wrap up here. Let's do, a small preview for the rest of the games coming over the next week. And
absolutely.
We can get out of here. So,
quick reminder then, Lungfist Lightside versus Blue Whites is the next match you're going to be looking for. As far as I currently know, is scheduled to be at 7 o'clock CEST on Thursday the 17th. It may change, so stay tuned on socials at NLC LOL on Twitter. Following that up is currently written on there as the 19th, but I believe it is being rescheduled. Venom Crest versus Munster Rugby Gaming, the winners bracket finals. Winner advances to the grand final. Loser, of course, will still have that lifeline available. Can Venom Crest be shown to bleed, or will they throw another team by the wayside? And then after that, of course, Lionscreed will face the winner of Lightside versus Blue Whites, currently again scheduled on the 20th. Stay tuned on socials in case that changes.
Yeah, playoffs is here, and every match is more and more intense. The stakes get higher. Can Lionscreed stay alive? We're going to have to find out next week. And that's going to be it from me and Bracken. Feel free to follow my socials. To be fair, if you go on the Twitter, mine will be tagged. Don't tweet too much about League, but nonetheless, that's going to be it from us. I think this might be my last broadcast of the season, I think.
But glad to have you. Glad to have you all the same.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun. This is my first time doing NLC and regular League of Legends casting in general. Hey, if anyone has got any feedback, even just flame me on Twitter and just even passive aggressively talk to me about the game.
Maximize the shill. Maximize the engagement. At me as well, because
I'm just trying
always like to have that feedback. And shout outs to our producer.
Yeah. To be fair, shout out to Bracky. She did basically a one-man show today, play-by-play and producing.
It's all right.
As well.
It's all good. This is the things we do for our scene. Anyway, last of all, those people to thank are, of course, you at home for coming along, watching the series. Thank you once again. And again, keep those eyes peeled on the socials. More NLC Div 2 playoff action to come. See you there.